Hey guys, tonight we're crawling through termite mounds taller than your fridge, under a sky the color of burnt apricots. You kneel in red dust, fingertips brushing soil that remembers empires. Aksumite farmers didn't need pH meters. They read Earth's secrets in insect skyscrapers. And sweetheart, you probably wouldn't survive a season here without their wisdom. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Wherever you're curled up tonight, maybe Nairobi, maybe Nebraska, type your city and time zone below. Let's map this insomnia tribe. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your shadow stretches across the field like a sundial needle. Termite towers rise, crumbling spires of clay etched with rain's fingerprints. This isn't dirt, it's a library. 6th century Aksumite farmers would lick their thumbs, press them to mound walls, taste the story. Salty earth meant drought coming. Gritty texture warned of floodplains shifting. Their empire once straddled trade routes from Rome to India, but their greatest wealth slept beneath their calloused feet. You crouch beside a termite cathedral, 3 men tall. Heat shimmers, warp its surface, making the clay seem alive. Farmers called these breathing hills, believed they pulsed with underground rivers. Modern soil tests prove them right. Mound density matches water tables within 2%. Historians still argue whether that accuracy was luck or lost science. A hand scoops dry soil, letting it stream through fingers like hourglass sand. Too fast, the earth's parched. Too clumpy, rot waits beneath. But get this, they measured fertility not in inches or centimeters, but imget units. 1 imget. The distance a termite could drag a sorghum seed before collapsing. Quirky. But when your GPS is 6-legged, you innovate. Sunset bleeds across the plateau. You spot it now, the pattern. Tallest mounds cluster near that crooked acacia. Shorter ones march toward the gully. Farmers mapped these formations like battle strategies. Each dirt tower, a general reporting terrain secrets. No notebooks, just generations of squinting and finger pointing. Ever tried memorizing 40 square miles of bug architecture? Didn't think so. Night falls, the first stars pricking through indigo. Your thumb finds a termite's masterwork, ridges as precise as pottery grooves. This is where instinct met calculus. Mound symmetry revealed soil compaction. Slant angles predicted erosion paths. They even tracked termite queens' egg-laying cycles, believed fertile insects meant fertile fields. Creepy. Maybe. Effective. The Aksum Empire fed 2 million people at its peak. On land, we'd call marginal today. A breeze riffles your hair, carrying the tang of wet slate. Storm coming. The farmers knew that too. Termites plug tunnel entrances before rains. You scrape a fingernail across the mound. No fresh clay plugs yet. 2 days grace, maybe 3. Translation. Get the sorghum stored before skies open. Imagine reading weather reports in dirt clumps while we can't even trust app forecasts. Your knees protest as you stand modern joints versus ancient wisdom. Moonlight now silvering the termite citadels. Those ridges aren't random, they're moisture channels. Rain sluices down spiral grooves, seeping deep where roots thirst. Clever, right? But here's the kicker. Modern permaculture farms are just rediscovering these patterns. Turns out termites mastered sustainable agriculture while we were still throwing manure at walls. Crickets start their metallic chorus, somewhere a donkey brays. You're parsing soil health through a lens of wing beats and crumbling clay, the original augmented reality. Farmers buried honey pots near weak mounds, luring ants to aerate compacted earth. Results: 30% higher yields in sorghum trials. USDA should take notes. Dawn's first smear of gold on the horizon. You're exhausted, but the land's whispering louder now. That flat-topped mound, its tunnels collapsed last rainy season, a silent scream of topsoil loss. The spiral-shaped one. Termites rebuilt it twice this year, signaling desperate earth, begging for ground cover. Whole sagas written in mud, if you can read the glyphs. Your hand brushes a mound's sun-warmed flank, meeting not just dirt, but the ghost of a farmer who named his son Huon after the termites' spring dance. Science scoffs at mixing poetry and pragmatism, until tree rings prove their drought predictions beat satellite data. The debate rages. Were they ecologists or mystics? Maybe both. You trace calloused fingertips along the mound's ridges, each curve a sentence written in dirt. The termites built this winding tower taller than your hip, its peaks arching like a baker's folded dough. Crooked spires, mean black clay sleeps below, the good stuff that clings to roots. Flat-topped mounds. Walk away. Those are nature's tombstones. Sand has already claimed that ground. Imagine farmers squinting at dirt architecture, like you'd stare at a weather app. Archaeologists found Aksumite pottery shards near these shapes, thick-walled jars designed to store clay-enhanced harvests. Smart, right? But here's the weird part. Records suggest some kissed the mounds before planting, lip-tested moisture levels, though good luck getting that funded by modern agriscience. The real magic's in the patterns. 3 peaks meant dig shallow, loose topsoil. 5 twisting arms signaled deeper trenches to reach cooler earth. You're not reading dirt, you're decoding a topographic anthem. Historians still argue whether flat mound warnings doubled as invasion alerts. Enemies marching over hard ground make different vibrations. Picture a farmer's sandal scuffing a mound slope, their version of swiping left on bad land. They'd map fields like palm readers, tracing lifelines, each crevice whispering secrets. Ever seen a termite architect's blueprint? Neither has anyone else. But these bugs put Frank Lloyd Wright to shame. Crush a clay-rich spire between your fingers. It holds its shape like Play-Doh. Sandy mounds crumble fast, a disappearing act no one wants. Some elders claimed moon phases changed how mounds breathed. Crescent nights made clay softer. Try explaining that to a pH meter. Here's a tip stolen from the ancients. Follow the ants. They avoid weak soil like you'd dodge a parking ticket. They're zigzag paths around certain mounds. Nature's version of detour signs. Modern farms use satellite imaging, but no algorithm captures the sour tang of iron-rich dirt or the musk of termite-churned earth. Debates rage about accidental farming. Did termites shape human settlements or vice versa? Doesn't matter. What clicks is how farmers listened. No lab coats, no subsidies, just generations leaning close as the soil murmured its truths. You kneel beside a weathered mound. Its shadow stretches toward the Nile like a crooked compass. Someone's ancestor stood here, 2 palms pressed to sun-baked clay. Feel that faint hum under your hands. Could be termites, could be ghosts. Either way, the message is clear. Your palms press into warm clay, the same earth Aksumite engineers reshaped into underground cisterns. Breathe deep. That damp chill rising through the mound's pores isn't random. Termites engineered these airways to mirror human-built aqueducts, snaking channels that let rain flirt with parched subsoil. Archaeologists found matching tunnel patterns in Aksumite ruins, proof these farmers weren't just digging ditches. They were collaborating with insects. Dig a fingernail into the mound's side, feel those honeycomb walls. Each sells a mirrored twin to irrigation canals, carved beneath barley fields. Termites tunneled where groundwater pulsed, their dirt highways leading farmers straight to secret springs. Modern hydrologists confirmed it. Overlap between insect paths and 4th century water systems hits 73%. Not bad for bugs working without coffee breaks. Here's the weird part. Some farmers poured honey into mounds at dawn. Pressed ears to the soil as sweetness seeped down, listening for gurgles, signaling strong airflow. Condensation patterns on clay told them when to dig or when to let the termites plumbing work solo. Try that with your smart irrigation app. Wriggle your toes in the dirt. Those squiggly root trails beneath your feet, they piggyback on termite tunnels like hitchhikers using subway shortcuts. Plant roots follow insect corridors straight to mineral buffets. Zinc here, potassium there. All laid out like an underground deli counter. Historians still argue whether royal engineers copied termite blueprints, or if 6-legged workers mimicked human designs first. Cup your hands around a ventilation shaft. Feel the breeze. Mounds inhale cooler night air. Exhale daytime heat through cone-shaped chimneys. Farmers timed planting to these breaths, sowing seeds when the earth's lungs expelled muggy air. Miss the window. Crops risked drowning in unventilated sludge. Ever seen a termite's version of air traffic control? Diagonal shafts prevent crosswinds. No chaotic drafts down here. It's smoother than Heathrow's runway system and built without a single clipboard. Some elders swore they could taste drainage quality licking pebbles from tunnel walls to gauge salt levels. Hydroponics professors would have had a field day. Rain's the real test. Watch how water vanishes into mound pores. No puddles, just a thirsty gulp. These networks distribute moisture like IV drips, nursing dehydrated soil for weeks. Modern farms buffer against drought with polymer gels. Aksumites used termite spit and patience. Peer into a collapsed tunnel. See those root hairs threading through. They're not stealing, they're trading. Roots give termites sugary sap. Insects reciprocate with pre-chewed nitrogen snacks. Capitalism could never. Watch your step near those pencil-sized chimneys. Their weak spots crush one, and you're sabotaging an entire respiratory district. Farmers marked them with stacked stones, ancient hazard cones. Miss one, and next season's sorghum might come up wheezing. Want to play termite? Stick a reed into a tunnel, blow hard. If your cheeks ache before hearing a distant echo, water's too deep. Simple, brutal, effective. Farm kids still do this during school holidays. Rural TikTok trends outlasting empires. That low hum underfoot isn't your imagination. Vibrations pulse through tunnels during droughts. Termites drumming emergency signals. Farmers translated it as dig here warnings, though biologists argue it's just insects headbutting in panic. Either way, the wells they dug saved harvests. Scoop a handful of tunnel gravel, notice the rainbow sheen. Mica fragments glitter like desert stars. Aksumite lore claimed these were crushed moonbeams, until geologists identified them as bedrock evidence. Still, try selling moon gravel fertilizer at Whole Foods today. The lesson in the layers: air above, roots mid-level, termites below. Everything connected through curved shafts and shared hunger. Modern sustainable farms mimic this layering, though nobody thanks the bugs in their grant proposals. You straighten up, knees protesting, and brush off red dust. Somewhere beneath you, a million termites adjust their dugout corridors. Above, sorghum sways in languages humans forgot how to hear. The air thickens, termite wings rustling like dried papyrus scrolls. You spot the first dark swirl above a mound, worker bodies launching into clumsy flight. Monsoon's coming, and Aksumite farmers knew it weeks early by these fevered swarms. Rome had aqueducts, Aksum had termite meteorologists. Step closer, the ground shivers with insect exodus. Each winged emigrant carves a tiny wind tunnel, collective motion, churning the breeze itself. Farmers called these flights the soil's sneeze, nature's heads up before downpours drowned the highlands. Can't buy this intel on weather.com. Watch where they crash land. Swarms favor acacia groves, their version of storm shelters. 7 days later, rain. Always 7. Aksum's planting almanacs swore by this rule. Modern ecology confirms monsoons follow termite swarms by a week. Coincidence? Ask the bugs. But here's the twist. They're terrible flyers. Most land within 15 paces. Snacks for geckos perched on plow handles. Survivors break off wings, wriggle into new colonies. Farmers collected discarded wings as rain gauges, pile height, predicting storm fury, more fringe than science. Sure, but hey, they'd nail Pinterest aesthetics. Bend down, sniff the breach where termites surged out. Cat pee tang, ammonia sharpness. That's panic pheromones, insect adrenaline hitting your nostrils. Elders inhaled deeply before planting, said the sting kept their minds alert. OSHA wouldn't approve, but it beats snorting espresso grounds. See those stick fragments littering the mound. Workers haul twigs vertically before swarming aerial ants prepping launch pads. Farmers read the density like stock tickers. Thin scatter meant gentle showers. Dense nests signaled NOAA-level deluges. Bonus, free kindling for monsoon night bonfires. Listen for the click-clack chorus. Soldier termites knock heads against tunnels, vibrations directing the exodus. It's part Morse code, part mosh pit. Place a water jug on the soil ripples, reveal their frantic tempo. Historians still argue whether Aksumites pioneered seismic agriculture or just had really bored kids. Watch shadows at noon. Swarming termites flee when humidity hits 80%, their bodies flecking sunlight like living confetti. Farmers timed lunch breaks by these moving sundials, and we think we invented multitasking. Kneel beside a failed flyer, its wing veins mimic palm fronds. Press it into clay makes a temporary tattoo. 7th century crop markers, temporary. Biodegradable, kinda glam. Alexa, add biomimicry to Neolithic innovations. Now, the aftermath. Post-swarm mounds look drunk, crumbling spires, gaping entry wounds. But wait, worker crews already plug holes with saliva cement. Farmers saw this as nature's reminder. Repair your terraces before skies open. Procrastination drowned entire harvests. Termites don't do all-nighters. Grab a fistful of post-swarm soil. It's spongier, aerated by fleeing hordes. Roots exploit these fresh voids within hours. Opportunistic little divas. Modern no-till farms seek this texture with diesel tillers. Aksumites just let insects work overtime. Follow the lizard feast. Monitor lizards bulge with termite snacks before monsoons. Their bellies becoming seasonal almanacs. Farmers judged rainfall by reptile fatness, an entire forecast based on side-eye and scaly gluttony. A coup weather wishes, it had that charm. Spot the queen's chamber post-swarm, vacant throne room littered with empty egg casings. New royalties already chewing westward, her pheromone trail a dotted line on nature's map quest. Plant a cowpea seed where she rested. Tradition claims it'll twine skyward twice as fast. Agronomists roll eyes, but try it anyway. Rain's a week out now, can't you taste it? Metallic hints prick your tongue, static charging the air. Termites felt it first, then farmers, now you. Their forecasting beats your phone's drizzle gif by millennia. You kick a crumbling tower, it disintegrates into gold dust silt. Hold still, A straggler crawls your ankle, living proof that failed flights still spark new colonies. Thousands will drown in coming rains, and thousands more will birth empires in mud. Circle of life with better ventilation. You wake to dew-beaded mounds, each clay spire glistening like a mudslide paused mid-drip. This isn't dirt, it's currency. Aksumite farmers treated termite clay as nature's bank vault, storing nutrients only monsoons could unlock. Scoop a handful, the grit clings like cold oatmeal. Rub it between fingers, feel those micro cracks. Each crevice traps night moisture siphoned upward from water tables 30 feet down. Modern soil labs replicate this with polymers. Termites did it free since 100 BCE. Now lick your palm. No, seriously. That faint tang of iron and burnt toast, termite saliva baked by sun, a natural probiotic cocktail. Elders slurped clay slurry before planting, called it the earth's breakfast. You'll stick to avocado toast, thanks. Watch workers rebuild post-rain. They're dragging ash, black flecks, against orange clay, like pepper on pumpkin soup. Farmers raided hearths to add their own ash, kickstarting chemical reactions even Heston Blumenthal would envy. The result? Cement-strong clods that hoard nitrogen like misers. Need a ash clay ball. It warms eerily, alive with microbiology. Bury it near millet sprouts, those roots will hug it like a BFF. 5 harvests richer, guaranteed. Modern agritech patents similar nutrient capsules with a side of corporate jargon. Spot the charcoal veins in the clay. Termites munch burned acacia after wildfires, their gut enzymes binding carbon to minerals. It's terra preta, Amazonian black earth millenniums before science named it. But here's the twist: farmers believed ash repelled angry soil spirits. Who's laughing now? Sniff, a sun-baked slab, hints of wet dog and molasses. That's geosmin, the same compound that makes rain smell petrichorwai. Breathe deep, your brain's fireworks are identical to some long-dead farmers. Timelessness comes in weird packages. Crack a dried clod, inside glitters like crunched Oreos. Mica flecks, quartz dust, insect-wing confetti. Aksumites called this star porridge, believed meteor sprinkles boosted fertility. Geologists found measurable iridium, so maybe swipe that folklore for your sci-fi pitch. Listen, the clay sings. Step on a sun-cured patch. It creaks like a rusty hinge. Farmers judged curring progress by these squeaks. Overripe soil sounded like goat hooves on gravel. Too shrill, delay planting. Baroque, but Borgswood loved the poetry. Now the real magic: mix clay with donkey urine. Yeah, you heard. Nitrates in pea react with termite calcium carbonate. Boom, instant fertilizer. Women fermented the brew in gourd jars, stirring with fig branches at dawn. OSHA proved. Hard no, effective. The millet doesn't lie. Spot those pebble-smooth clay balls in the dirt. Kids slingshot ammo until elders confiscated them. Each pellet hid sorghum seeds, clay armor against birds and drought. Germination time capsules, Neolithic version of bubble-wrapped deliveries. Find a palm-sized disc, fingerprints fossilized in its surface. 7th century soil testers pressed clay against fields, comparing imprint depth to standard discs. Deeper grooves meant softer earth, ready for sowing. Analog tech at its most elegant. Taste test time again. Farmers differentiated clays by flavor chalky, meant calcium-rich, bitter hinted at zinc, sweet equaled rotten news, sugary soils often hid salt layers starving crops. Nowadays, we send samples to labs, losing that full-body diagnostic vibe. Watch beetles spiral around the mound, dung rollers sheening like oil spills. They are after the same thing, processed clay rich in magnesium. Follow their trails to prime wheat patches, or just enjoy nature's glitter parade. Strip off your sandals, squelch toes into the sludge. That tingle, electrolytes leaching into calluses. Aksumite pedicure 101. Elders claimed mud-caked feet warded off scorpion stings. Skeptical, so were their spouses, until harvest bonuses hit. Historians still argue whether black gold was deliberate innovation or happy accident, termites and humans riffing off each other's waste. Either way, it fed an empire thriving when Rome was toddler-sized. Your turn now. Pack a clay ball in your satchel, free souvenir or future garden hack. Modern soil could use more spit, less spreadsheet. You linger past dusk, silver threads catch wrist skin like phantom harp strings. These aren't abandoned webs. They're meteorology with 8 legs. Aksumite farmers red spider silk like Doppler radar. The angle of drag lines foretold dry spells better than any cloud. Nudge, a orb weaver's masterpiece. It trembles like jello east-facing anchor lines taut as guitar strings. Lock in your water stores, months of parched earth ahead. Sagging threads knotted into chaotic hammocks. Start reinforcing your roof, monsoon's party crash fast here. Scholars confirm the practice. Roman agronomist Columella wrote about insect-based weather signs in 50 CE, but Aksumites took it further. They mapped wind currents by where spiders rebuilt demolished webs. Lose a web to baboons. Check the relocation spot. Higher ground meant coming floods. Now the weird part. Find a shredded web clumped like cotton candy. Farmers ground it with acacia, gum into sky glue. Smear it on aching joints. Ancient icy hot with bonus placebo effect. Bonus. Terrified kids avoided annoying Uncle Mulu's magic spider obsessions. Watch a spider anchor its frame line. Count the silk anchors. 7 or fewer meant plant chickpeas, early 9 or more warned of late frosts. Farmers debated thresholds like Wall Street bros over stock ticks, complete with drunken wagers at harvest festivals. Cup, a abandoned egg sack. It crinkles like rice paper. Elders stored them in goat horn containers. Popped one monthly to read the fluff's spread pattern. Wider dispersal equaled drier years, though skeptics muttered about bored grandmas inventing chores. Taste a dewy strand, yes, really, that algae-like zing. Spider mites leavings, prized as fermentation starters for honey wine. Stirred into vats at moonrise, created fizz that made European champagne taste like dishwater. Spot that funnel web in the Termite Mounds shadow. Its shape mirrors Saharan dust devils, a fractal warning system. Tightly wound spirals meant mild harmattan winds. Frayed, splayed edges signaled airborne grit that strip crops bare. Historians still argue whether silk patterns held real predictive power, or just let farmers blame arachnids for bad luck. Either way, trusting bugs beat praying to moody rain gods who charged sacrifice fees. Pluck a strand stretched between thorn trees. It withstands your tug like Kevlar. Women wove these into fishing lines, so strong Nile perch snapped rods before the silk frayed. Modern polymers finally matched their tensile strength in 1983. Patent 4,483,485. If you're nostril deep in trivia, peek inside a crevice web. Silken hammocks cradle sleeping lizards. Farmers called these guest beds, believing reptiles negotiated peace between soil and sky. Spot a snoozing gecko. Good omen unless it's belly up, then maybe skip the seed-sowing champagne. Watch a spider dismantle its web at dawn, swallowing threads like spaghetti. This meant humidity would plummet by noon. Chaps' lips faster than a teenager's bad poetry. Elders slathered on sour milk balm. The original chapstick with a yogurt kick. Find a web jeweled WITH Chinese letter backlit by the rising sun. Each droplet's prism casts mini rainbows on termite clay. Farmers interpreted the color spreads like barcodes. Red heavy spectra meant plant sorghum, indigo dominance, said stick to drought-resistant teff. Your phone buzzes with a weather alert, 0% rain chance. But that triangle web by your knee just sagged into a rhombus. Better grab an umbrella. Modern science might mock until you're the driest chucklehead in the downpour. Break camp quietly, leave the silk prophets to their sticky divinations. Tomorrow's forecast, according to the wolf spider on your sandal, partly cloudy with a chance of existential awe. You ditch the spider's farewell party, your nose leads the way now. That ammonia bite means you're downwind of Aksum's secret sauce, human night soil fermenting in termite catacombs. Hold your breath wrong, and you'll taste yesterday's injera. Step over the dung berm, the termites keep out sign. Below your feet, chambers of steaming waste, getting marinated in enzyme-rich insect spit. Forget composting bins. This is nature's pressure cooker on turbo. Farmers called it black honey, though it reeked like Satan's brewery. They'd shovel privy contents into mound air vents. Termites swarmed the feast like frat boys at a buffet. 3 rains later, golden brown loam emerged, clung to roots like needy toddlers. Fact check. Romans spread raw sewage on fields too, but Aksumites had a twist. Termite mandibles predigested pathogens. Result: fewer dysentery outbreaks than Imperial Rome's poop fields. Emperor Titus never thought to subcontract his fertilizer. Grab a fistful, it crumbles like moist coffee grounds. That's termite spit binding everything. Nature's glue stronger than kindergarten paste. Mix it with ash and watch soil aggregates form like self-assembling Legos. Now, the weird hack. Catch workers hauling clay pellets. 98% have feces stuck to their jaws. Farmers called it saliva coins, buried them near seedlings as release nutrients. Lost your shovel? Just follow the vomiting termite train. Listen close. Gurgles echo through the mound. That's not your stomach. It's methane bubbles trapped in fecal sludge. Elders lit these for eternal flames during solstice rites, preheating fields with literal gaslighting. Crack open a dried chamber. The crust shatters like toffee. Inside, crumbly earth threaded with silvery mycelium. These fungi partnered with termites, breaking down lignin long before science, named synergy. Toss a chunk in water, watch it foam like ancient Alka-Seltzer. Historians still argue whether enzymes or bacteria did the heavy lifting. Labs found termite spit contains lysozymes, same stuff in human tears. Coincidence? Try crying into your compost pile and report back. Spot those iridescent beetles. They're not debris, they're quality control. Jeweled carapaces mean optimal fermentation. Green means add more urine. Gold signals ready for barley. Farmers treated them like tiny USDA inspectors. No bribes necessary. Mix the black honey with termite saliva wine, yes, that's a thing. Fermented for 8 moons. Produced a sludge so pungent it repelled locusts. Downsides: apply at dawn, unless you want vultures mistaking you for roadkill. Watch workers seal a chamber, their heads bob like sewing needles. Each cram contains a fecal pellet wrapped in mucous membrane, DIY slow-release pods. Medieval peasants used manure tea. Aksumites had nanotechnology-grade poop. Taste test. The final product. Don't actually. But elders placed a grain on tongues during planting rites. Bitter. Delay sowing. Sweet as overripe figs. Go all in and invite neighbors to envy your hot shit soil. Find an abandoned mound crusted in white crystals. It's not mold, it's nitrate blooms from centuries of urea breakdown. These salt licks drew ibex, herds miles away, their hooves tilted better than any plow. Your boots squelch, congrats. You're standing on liquefied history. Every bubble's a Roman senator's unfinished business, reincarnated as millet nutrition. Modern organic farms hype closed-loop systems. Aksumites were looping before toilets had loops. Check that mango tree. Its roots dive straight into a corpse-fed mound. Fruits weigh twice as much here, sweeter too. Scientists found elevated potassium levels. Termites basically invented GMOs via puke chemistry. Spot the chimneys venting metallic air. Termites regulate decomposition. temps better than sous vide rigs. Confused colonizers thought they'd found iron smelters. Nope, just beetles making dirt taste fancy. Now the dark part. Weak children got buried near active mounds, their bodies becoming soil batteries. Harsh, maybe, but crop yields tripled in those zones. Morality shrivels faster than raisins during famine. Pat the mound, it's warm as fresh bread. Inside, a million jaws chew through your ancestors' leavings. Democritus mused about atoms. Aksumites mastered molecular redistribution with insect help. Fork over your scraps. The tiny alchemists are hungry. Rain hammers the baked earth like 1,000 drunk drummers. You take shelter under a fig tree's skeletal branches. Listen, that thunder isn't skyborn. It's the echo of deluge rushing through termite-dug caverns, a basso profundo chuckle from below. Crouch near a mound's airshaft, your ear becomes a satellite dish. Water ricochets through hollow tunnels, deep booms map where soil can't absorb. Farmers timed trench digging to these echoes, nature's percussion section scoring their shovel work. Here's the science they never wrote down. Termite networks act like drainage litmus tests. Waterlogged earth mutes the sound. But crisp reverberations. That's the sweet spot. Soil thirsty enough to drink, but not drown. Historical footnote. Aksumite water management rivaled Rome's aqueducts, just invisible and built by bugs. Engineers still study how their crop ditches mirror termite canal geometry. Six-legged urban planning at its finest. Watch elders press dried gourds against mound walls, prehistoric stethoscopes catching subsoil gossip. One hollow thud means dig here. Two echoes. Pray to the cloud gods. Miss the cues, and your field becomes a wading pool. Now the weird bit. Some rain priests drank termite slurry before listening, claimed it tuned their inner ears. Recipe included fermented honey and powdered beetle wings. Side effects: vivid dreams about singing earthworms. Workers emerge carrying swollen abdomen pouches, their living sandbags. Toss them into pooling water, bodies bloat into squishy barricades. Morbid, sure, effective. The receding ripples don't lie. Drag a stick across the mud, hear that gurgle. It's the mound's congested sinuses. Farmers carved bamboo pipes into these spots, improvised drainage rivaling Versailles fountains. All without a single French architect. Historians still argue whether channels followed acoustics or ancestral whims. Truth's somewhere in the slurry. Maybe they just liked watching waterfalls in miniature. Spot those zigzag trenches. They're not irrigation lines. They're reverse sugar coasts for runoff. Each curve modeled on termite tunnel angles. Storms hit. Water pirouettes through the maze instead of gulping topsoil. Test a puddle's depth with your heel. If the splash echoes down the mound, it's a lurking sinkhole. If not, plant quick-growing barley to bind the earth. Aksumite risk assessment required good boots and better reflexes. Peel back eroded clay, see those feathery root fossils. Termites steered roots away from fragile tunnels. Modern agronomists call it biological zoning. Farmers called it not fighting the architects. Sniff the runoff. That metallic tang isn't groundwater. It's iron leached from termite saliva. Let it oxidize into orange streaks. Nature's graffiti tagging fertile zones. Sun-baked laterite makes excellent paint pigment if you ignore the origin story. Aftermath of a flash flood reveals the oracle. Exposed mounds resemble rotten teeth, rust-colored and pocked with holes. But between them, perfectly drained loam where teff grass sways unscathed. Eavesdrop on farm wives debating drainage charms. One swears by oxtail hairs braided around mound peaks. Another insists spitting in each compass direction works better. Results may vary, but never underestimate placebo plows. Watch kids play echo tag, slapping wet clay to mimic thunder. Little savages memorize acoustics better than textbooks teach. Tomorrow, they'll guide their fathers, shovels without stumbling. The real magic, how empty mounds become amplifiers after storms. Abandoned chambers hum with trapped breezes, a Aeolian harp made of dirt. Farmers once mistook these for ancestral whispers. Now we call it fluid dynamics. Find a seepage zone and lie flat, cheek to mud. The ground thrums like a sleeping giant's pulse. That's not your imagination. It's millennia of termites engineering harmony between rain and hunger. Bugs aren't the only jewelers hear your bare toes squelch through glittering mud. Mica flecks catch sunlight between your feet. But that rainbow shimmer isn't mineral glamour. It's jeweled scarabs, emerald-winged earth, augurs mapping iron beneath your soles. Scoop a handful of soggy clay. 4 beetles scramble free, their wing cases bluer than kingfisher feathers. Aksumite prospectors followed these iridescent breadcrumbs to fertile zones, living compasses dressing topsoil with beetle couture. Historical nugget, these scarabs trace iron oxide like bloodhounds. Modern tests show their favored soils have triple the crop yields centuries before soil pH kits existed. Yet, we still debate who domesticated whom. Track a female beetle dragging dung sideways. She's not eating it. Watch her wedge the ball into a crack, a fuzzy gray plug of mycelium. Fungus farms underground need iron-rich starter kits. Smart bug, your turn, press a rust-stained pebble to your tongue. Metallic bitterness blooms. That's the scarab's legacy. Iron oxide signaling packed nutrients. Spit politely and plant sorghum here. It'll rise like a phoenix. Quirky alert. Some Aksumite women ground beetle wings into lipstick. Crimson gloss doubled as soil tester if it turned brown by noon. Too acidic for lentils. Beauty standards served harvest math. Crouch where beetles cluster. Wiggle your finger into the sludge. It's warmer here. Termite chimneys below vent geothermal heat. Scarabs sunbathe where Earth's furnace nudges seeds awake. Spot that half-buried pot shard. Farmers once embedded ceramics to attract beetles. Glazed interiors confused predators. Six-legged miners got private dining rooms. Ancient pest control with zero chemicals. Historians still argue whether beetles sought minerals or just followed queen pheromones. Maybe they just enjoyed the commute, subway beetles with better healthcare plans. Dig here where dung balls pile like miniature Stonehenges. 2 inches down, a rust-red vein threads the soil. Termites avoid iron-heavy layers. Beetles plaster it with nitrogen-rich poop. Teamwork with benefits. Eavesdrop on a debate between oxen. One chews ironweed sprouts, a living mineral supplement. His yokemate prefers termite-churned clay. Tomorrow's plowing will prove whose palate's sharper. Turn over a sun-bleached skull, probably goat. Beetles have colonized the eye sockets. Their larvae glimmer like cursed pearls. Morbid fertilizer factories pumping out winged nutrient brokers. Test an old trick balance, a scarab on your palm. If it flies west, investigate that acacia grove. East, check erosion patterns. Beetle GPS needs no satellite signals, just patience and open palms. Follow a glittering convoy toward the termite graveyard. Beetles feast on deceased workers, recycling chitin into plant-ready calcium. Circle of life with more sequins than Disney imagined. Catch a beetle mid-crawl, its legs tickle like toothbrushes. Those bristles collect soil samples, instinctively walking labs, analyzing loam between breakfast and beetle brunch. Modern fact check. NASA studied these scarabs for Mars soil ideas. Turns out beetle-compacted regolith holds moisture 17% better. Take that, rovers. Stumble into a beetle nursery. Larvae roll mineral beads like tiny sushi chefs. Aksumite children threaded these onto grass stalks. Portable soil test kits with built-in rattle symphonies. Spot the outlier, a scarab shell flecked with gold. Natural alloy or artisan beetle. Either way, dig here. Gold streaks mean volcanic remnants, and volcanic soil grows the sweetest figs. Watch beetles outrun raindrops when storms return. Their flight path maps safe ridges. Aerial surveys conducted on insect wings. Lose your hat chasing them. Fashion forfeit for fertile futures. Nudge a dung ball with your toe. It unravels into iron-rich confetti. Termites will recycle it tonight. Nocturnal alchemy, turning beetle leftovers into breakfast for roots. The real kicker. Scarabs hate pesticides. Modern farms silenced these glitter guides, then wondered why their soil turned sullen. Turns out beetles were the original organic influencers. Find a beetle carapace shimmering in last light. Press it into your palm. Ancient Aksum pressed these into clay tablets as farm deeds. Proof of ownership written in insect armor. Listen, the beetle's wings hum at the same pitch as termite queens. Coincidence or soil symphonies conducted across species. Your blistered hands don't care, the millets sprouting either way. End tonight by the termite forge, Where beetle meets clay meets fire, embers glow iron red, same shade as sunrise on healthy fields. Tomorrow's hunger gnaws, but tonight you trust the beetle's bling. Moonlight pools around termite chimneys, like spilled milk, your shadow stretches toward the queen's underground suites. Hear that? Not insects, human voices humming against clay. Generations of midwives crooned here between contractions, their low drones syncing with termite vibrations. Kneel, where the earth breathes warm termite nurseries radiate heat like living incubators. Laboring mothers leaned against these mounds. Let the steady hum massage their spines. Historians found birth songs etched on pottery shards, lyrics praising both baby's first cry and larvae's first mold. Peel back lichen from the mound's flank. Your nail snags a fossilized handprint. Some midwives pressed palms here during deliveries, transferring warmth to wombs through dirt. Quirk alert. Post-birth placentas got buried near queens, a grisly fertilizer. Ancestral Uber eats for termites. Debate continues. Dig a thumb into the sun-warmed clay. It's softer here. Worker termites aerate this section nightly. Midwives taught mothers to mold cradle-shaped hollows. Test runs for swaddling soil around newborns. Catch the sour-sweet tang. Fermented honeydew. Queens secreted during egg-laying, same consistency as colostrum. Some elder women dabbed it on infants' lips, an earthy welcome to the world. Spot those crisscrossed stick patterns, not random. Midwives arranged twigs like pelvic bones during difficult births, sympathetic magic with better interior decorating. When termites rebuilt the structure within hours. Take notes, modern OBGYNs. Historians still argue whether the songs eased human labor or just calmed termite guards from stinging. Either way, fingernail grooves in nearby rocks suggest someone found relief. Pluck a larva from its clay cradle glistening and plump. Healthy ones meant thriving hives and thriving fields. Mothers planted seeds where nurses found vigorous grubs. Warmth equaled life, whether six-legged or two. Overhear a ghostly lullaby, or is it wind through tunnel vents? The tunes still used in Ethiopian Lamech hymns, proof that sacred music once had dirt under its nails. Pinch termite saliva between thumb and forefinger, stretchy as mucous membranes. Midwives mixed it with shea butter, primitive epidural balm. Skeletons show fewer birth injuries near mound villages. Coincidence or craft? Witness a modern echo. Villagers still place sickly chicks on mounds at dawn. The theory, queen's heat plus worker pheromones equals avian health boost. Science hasn't disproven it yet. Cradle your elbows like swaddled infants. Your joints creak. Termite queens live decades without arthritis. Maybe those vibrating chambers hold more than eggs. USDA-approved retirement homes for tired hips. Spot the quartz crystal embedded near the base. It's no accident. Certain songs made termites arrange pebbles in spiral patterns. Folk ultrasound imaging. Shamanic karaoke The mounds aren't telling. Roll a larvae casing between palms. It crackles like parchment. Farmers once read these shells like tea leaves. Fewer cracks meant hardier barley. Let's see 3 fractures. Skip the lentils this season. Unearth a finger-sized clay flute. Blow through termite-formed holes. The scale matches a newborn's wail. Coincidence? Ask the beetles still dancing to its squeal. Wade through silver moonlight toward the village. Termite queen pheromones cling to your soles. A scent that makes nursing goats produce richer milk. Don't question the chemistry. Just thank the 6-legged dairy consultants. The final test. Press your ear to the crusty summit. Twins being born 2 hills over. A queen laying 9 eggs per minute. Both sound like victory anthems for the soil. Moonlight bleeds through termite towers. Like a sieve, your fingers grope for tubers fattened on stolen silver. Cold soil rasps against knuckles sharp as the debates heating academic halls tonight. The Aksumites tracked moon phases for planting. Historians confirmed this via their 13th month calendar. But pulling roots under full moons, that's where science shrugs and folklore smirks. Tuber skin glistens under your palm, moon-washed and taut. Farmers claimed these stayed plump for weeks, rivaling clay jars sealed with beeswax. Skeptics chuckle until you mention the 1913 Addis market logs. Vendors paid double for moon yams during drought years. Coincidence? The termites' vertical tunnels glisten with night dew. Maybe they were ancient moisture traps. Kick a clump of dirt, it shatters like stale bread. Mound shadows crisscross the field, a lunar chessboard. Grandmothers taught kids to harvest where termite shade met stone markers. Nature's GPS before satellites. Step into a shadow's throat, dig where its tongue licks the earth. Your trowel strikes something hard, a quartz crystal smaller than a goat's tooth. Farmers buried these during moonless nights, soil batteries for storing lunar rays. Quirkier still, some slept with yams under their pillows on harvest eves, allegedly made them sweeter, like whispering dreams into starch. Juice erupts from a nicked tuber, sweet as dates. Moon harvesters never ate these raw. Ritual demanded roasting with sacred anger. Elders claimed fire balanced the moon's chill. Modern chemists found night-harvested tubers have higher sugars. Heat caramelized them faster. Take that, hydroponics. Wipe hands on your thighs. Clay streaks mimic crescent moons. Storage pits loom ahead, stone mouths yawning with last century's mud. Farmers layered yams with termite saliva paste, natural antifungal coating. Your flashlight dies as you peer inside. Thank the ancestors for smartphone glare. Note the beetle carcasses fused into pit walls. Workers tossed them in during pit sealing, a crunchy insurance policy. Rotting insects released nitrogen and maybe resentment. Historians still argue whether plumpness came from lunar cycles or termite enzymes activated by moonlight. Crush dried resin between molars. It sparks bitter on your tongue. Moon harvesters chewed this to align their guts with the soil. Side effects included vivid dreams and a grassland prank involving naked sprints, the trials of agricultural devotion. Spot the notched stick poking from the pit. Each groove marks a full moon harvest. 47 notches, then it stops. The final incisions jagged, like the planter died mid-cut. Mortality whispers louder than 100-year-old yams. Your thumbnail parts a tuber's flesh, veins spiral like galaxy arms. Reserved for pregnant women, elders swore moon-strengthened roots birthed calmer babies. Modern midwives pilfered the tactic for prenatal smoothies. The Kardashians remain unaware. Dust motes swirl in your flashlight beam, drunken constellations. Farmers once released fireflies during harvests, living confetti celebrating soil and sky's détente. You settle for a phone torch, innovation's tragic romance. A bat screeches, or is that a toddler's yawn? Village legends say moonyam eaters inherited bat hearing, useful for catching termite queens' mating calls. You strain your ears, only Sakura's answer. Peel a tuber slice, translucent as dragonfly wings. Hold it to the moon, faint lines map tomorrow's weather. The trick worked until radios arrived, mostly. Last week's rain proved almanacs wrong, while your yam predicted drizzle. Breathe deep ash and loam, sting your nostrils. Night harvesters burned acacia pods to stay awake, accidental aromatherapy. Unrelated fact, lavender farms now use similar tricks. Credits were due, Aksum. Taste a raw sliver, your tongue curls. Bitterness lingers, a reminder that sweetness required fire. Modern bakers add honey, but purists insist on termite, honeydew glazed tubers. Brunch was complicated back then. Unearth a child's leather sandal, toe imprints still denting the sole. Kids patrolled moonlit fields, scaring off jackals with clapping games. Tonight, you're substituting jazz hands. The village rooster crows twice. Farmers used them as lunar alarms. If birds sang before harvest ended, crops got cursed, along with the rooster stew that followed. Blink grit from your eyes. Soil salts glint like crushed pearls. Workers sprinkled these into irrigation ditches during moonless nights. Blind crops need seasoning too, argued grandmothers wielding ladles like scepters. Dig until your nail beds burn, then stop. Pre-dawn chill creeps up your calves, the termite queen's final joke. Mound heat fades, taking tuber magic with it. Tomorrow's harvest, just dirt, until the moon rises hungry again. Dawn cracks the horizon, your moon-chilled fingers stiff as termite-chewed twigs. Silence hangs heavy until the first cricket creaks its legs. Aksumite farmers timed planting by these chirps, each click a soil thermometer singing in Fahrenheit's shadow. Scoop a handful of earth, still night cold. No chirps mean wait, even if the sky begs for seeds. The rule was absolute: no clicks, no crops. Modern studies confirm crickets chirp faster in warmth, but matching their rhythm to soil heat That's ancestral calculus. Kneel until pebbles bite your shins, the true farmer's altimeter. Crickets crescendo as sunlight licks the mounds. Count the chirps between heartbeats. 23 means sow, 9 means curse the gods and nap. Spot the clay cricket cage by your knee. 19th century dig sites unearthed dozens, mini amphitheaters for six-legged meteorologists. Farmers trapped specimens at dawn, fed them millet to keep singing. Quirkier still, some buried dead crickets under seed rows, a morbid vitamin boost. Your trowel flicks, a stone to beetles flee. Elders claimed each fleeing bug whispered a planting tip. If you understood wing rustle Morse code. Miss that class, just listen for the crickets. Soil warms beneath your palms, a creeping itch. Termite mounds exhale dampness, secret saunas for queen and worker alike. Crickets cluster there too, their legs rubbing faster near that moist heat. Historians still argue whether chirps guided planting or just soundtracked it. Pinch a mound's edge, tiny air tunnels crumble like stale cake. Farmers judged soil readiness by how long termite dirt held shape. 7 seconds, plant 3, pray. Crickets were the backup alarm. A grasshopper rockets past green insult to cricket royalty. Legends say the Aksumites declared war on locusts, using mashed cricket paste as repellent. Spoiler, it failed. Stick to thermometers. Your water gourd sweats in the growing heat. Farmers soaked seeds in dawn dew, then rolled them in crushed cricket wings. Supposedly made roots dig deeper, desperate for silence. The termites disagreed. You'll find their nibble marks on every ancient millet husk. Watch a cricket straddle a pebble, its abdomen pulses like a thumb on guitar strings. Male serenading females and accidentally guiding Bronze Age agriculture. The original multitasker. Dust storms choked fields last century. Crickets went mute for weeks. Farmers resorted to testing soil with their elbows. A body thermometer method still debated at irrigation conferences. Crush a dry leaf. The sound mimics cricket static. Clever mimics tricked hungry birds and maybe lazy farmers, hence the backup rule. Always check 3 mounds before planting. Unearth a child's marble glass worn cloudy by time. Kids played cricket chief. Bowls of chirping insects decided mock planting dates. Losers hauled water until the next waning moon. Sweat pools at your collarbone, the signal. Chirps now fire like BB pellets. Toss your first seeds. They vanish into thirsty soil. 23 chirps per heartbeat, the earth's final exam. Spot the notch on your hoe handle. Each mark memorializes a cricket's final song before frost. The last line is dashed. Some endings refuse to be carved neatly. Termites surge from disturbed soil living shrapnel. Their jaws scraped seedling pests, and occasionally farmer thumbs. Pest control with dental benefits. A hawk's shadow sweeps the field, nature's crop circle. Farmers once spread crow feathers to scare seed thieves, until crickets chewed through the plumage. Lesson learned. Enlist beetles instead. Your heel grinds a mud clod. It pops like rotten fruit. Hidden underneath, a cricket graveyard, dozens of hollow carcasses spongy with mold. The soil here, fever hot. Plant anyway. Stretch your spine. It crackles like kindling. If crickets ached, would their chirps slow? Another question for those Amsterdam conference rooms, where tenured academics dissect insect rhythms over lattes. The sun claws higher, your shadow flat as pressed linen. Time to check the last mound. Crickets here sing in triplets, a soil sonnet meaning rush. Sow recklessly. The historians can judge you later. Digging unearths a fused glass bead, trade goods from Rome and Syria. Proof the Aksumites weren't just farmers, but soil savants with a globalization kink. Seedlings won't breach dirt for weeks, but termites already spiral beneath your feet. Their tunnels map the future root alleys and worm superhighways. Crickets keep score. By noon silence, the musicians retreat from heat. Your water gourds empty, replaced by the drip of sweat on stone. No ancient farmer worked past the cricket's curfew follow suit. A dove coos, the shift change bell. Women once sang planting chants into empty gourd, their voices trapped like crickets in clay cages. Your phone's podcast app feels blasphemous. Desiccated soil crusts your soles, an abrasive souvenir. Farmers' soaked feet in Termite Mounds slurry to soften calluses. A spa treatment that attracted hungry aardvarks. Retrieve your straw hat, crushed by a midnight mongoose. Legends say the Aksumites' first hats wove cricket silk until moths devoured the proof. Stick to woven reeds. One seed sprouts prematurely, its shoot pale as a cave fish. Pluck it. The root bleeds milky sap. Frost's first victim. The crickets tried to warn you. Pack your tools, the hoe balanced like a barbell. Generations of blisters live in its grain, alongside echoes of chirps from unrecorded summers. Wind riffles through dry grass, a hidden cricket's finale. This year's rhythm fades. Next year's still scritching in the wings. Your calloused palms grip the hoe, its blade still warm from yesterday's quarrel with a stubborn root. Termite mounded soil parts like aged parchment, revealing pink earthworms thicker than your thumb. Aksumite farmers called them underground midwives, their coiled bodies massaging life into inert dirt. Press an ear to the freshly turned earth. Faint clicks echo through the loam worm bristles, scraping mineral veins. Elders swore they could distinguish species by sound. Fat night crawlers versus slender red weavers. You settle for humming, a rusty lullaby your grandmother crooned to both infants and fields. Archaeologists found singing bowls in Aksumite tombs, copper basins tuned to worm tunnel frequencies. Artifact captions call them ceremonial objects, but your blistered fingers know better. Try it, drag the hoe's edge across damp soil. The vibration sends worms surging upward, living periscopes, sniffing for storms. Scoop a clump, watch 5 worms' entanglement in a slimy game of twister. Farmers believed their wriggling mapped hidden water veins, like fleshy dowsing rods. Modern agronomists shrug, yet admit worm-rich soil yields 20% more teff. Ease a worm onto your palm, its body pulses like a worried throat. Ancestors thought these creatures were deaf musicians, feeling sound through their glistening skin, hence the low, rumbling hymns, songs with bass notes deep enough to vibrate bedrock. Your sandal crunches a terracotta shard, scattered remains of a ritual vessel. Painted worms coil around its rim, tiny human figures, offering them figs. Quirkier still, some pots held fermented barley mash, worm breakfast buried at every solstice. Strip a millet stalk, pluck the stringy fibers, drag them across a sun-cracked stone. The raspy wine sends worms diving deeper, a reverse dinner bell. Miss the cue. Next season's soil turns sluggish and bitter. Knead the earth, your thumbs sink to the knuckle. This patch feels like wet wool, worm-made loam cradling each seed like a yoke. Historians still argue whether songs boosted fertility or just gave farmers an excuse to rest their knees. Spot the notch on your wrist, a worm bite from 22. Their saliva left a scar that tingles before rain. You're basically a living almanac, if almanacs smelled like compost and regret. Sunlight glints off mica flecks, the worms bling. Aksumite royalty wore necklaces, mimicking their iridescence, a nod to nature's true nobility. Jewelers starved during wormless droughts, fate's ecological punchline. A child's laugh ripples from the termite mounded slope. Girls still play worm call, licking palms and slapping dirt to summon wrigglers. Losers eat extra helpings of chickpea stew, the original guilt trip. Your water gourd sweats onto a worm highway. Tiny ridges betray their subterranean commute. Farmers diverted plows around these paths, afraid of offending the loam librarians. Break the rule. Prepare for crumbly, resentful soil. Pinch a worm cast, it crumbles into velvet. These pebbly turds once fueled currency disputes. 12 baskets equaled 1 goat. Try spending that at a Phoenician market. Storm clouds bruise the horizon. Worms boil to the surface, a squirming doomsday clock. Elders timed harvests by their panic. Early risers meant flash floods. You've got maybe 20 heartbeats before the sky splits. Distant thunder mimics a plow's rumble. Worms freeze their heads tilted like confused puppies, for bitter hammers ancestral logic, scrambling underground before gods start hurling lightning bolts. Your hoe handle splinters, a relic from the great locust invasion of '09. Worm populations crashed that year. Survivors produced mucus, so sticky it glued seeds to fingers. You miss those little weirdos. Roll up your frayed sleeves. That scar on your elbow, earned during the Great Worm Summit of 2017, farmers versus pesticide salesmen. The worms voted with their absence. The land went fallow for 18 moons. Pluck a pebble, its surface etched with minuscule ridges. fossilized worm tracks from Emperor Ezana's reign, a bureaucrat's cursive flattened by time. Even kings bowed to soil's architects. Rain arrives, cold nails hammering your spine. Worms dissolve into the mud like sugar threads in tea. Your grandmother's words surface. They're not abandoning us, just whispering deeper truths to the roots. Dig your pinky into soaked soil. A worm brushes the tip, then retreats. That fleeting touch sparks a memory, trading rye seeds for Nubian worm hymns scribbled on palm leaves. Lost lore now eaten by silverfish. Lightning licks, a distant acacia scent of burnt hair. Time to go. But first, hum 3 notes into the mud, an offering and apology for disrupting their rainy day revelry. Your footprints fill with murky water. Worms rise to inspect them, their bodies writing cursive critiques in real time. Tomorrow's work begins at dawn, but the soil's already drafting its response. Rain-slicked fingers trace spirals into drying clay, each groove a plea to unseen forces. The mound's surface resists at first, then yields like tired muscle. Your nail collects red grit Aksum's ancient ink. They called this writing with the earth's own tongue. Archaeologists found terracotta tablets near Lalibela etched with identical symbols, 3 swirls and a zigzag. Museum tags label them ritual objects, but your cracked cuticles recognize farming almanacs. That spiral, a petition for tangled roots. The jagged line, fortification against locust teeth. Kneel until pebbles bite your shins. A girl giggles behind you, her shadow braiding with yours. She presses a thumb into your half-finished prayer, leaving a whorled signature. Elders insisted children's prints held special potency, their innocence sweetening the request. You pretend not to notice her stolen fig. Historians still argue whether these symbols documented crop cycles or courted capricious soil gods. The truth, both. Gnawed ritual sticks prove farmers revised symbols between seasons. Agriculture meets palimpsest. Wind riffles your hair dry now, despite yesterday's tantrum of a storm. Your thumbnail splits red drafting a falcon's wing motif. Original version looked like a sick chicken. Third tries passable if squinting. Sunlight bakes the mound's west flank. Etched too deep, the clay cracks like burnt bread. Too shallow, next rain erases your life's work. Balance came through practice, and the occasional blasphemous curse. Spot the half-buried shard. Glazed pottery peeks through dirt, a forgotten boundary marker. Its serpentine pattern matches your grandmother's favorite bangle. Digging it up risks angering the mound. Leaving it dooms future farmers to confusion. You kick soil over it, a compromise that satisfies no one. A scarab scuttles across your spiral's curve. Its iridescent shell clashes with ruddy clay, nature's gaudy vandal. Swipe at it, miss. Let the beetle have its moment. Tomorrow's rain will dissolve both art and interloper. Reach for your waterskin, find it empty. Parched lips taste like termite dust. Should have refilled at the seep spring, but greed for cooler air kept you climbing. Rookie mistake. The girl reappears, offers a palm smeared with honeyed sorghum. Eat it. Her sticky fingers likely molded that prayer dot cluster upstream. You accept. Sacrilege, never tasted so caramel sweet. Whipbirds argue in the acacia branches. Their calls sync with your scratching, nature's backseat etchers. Ancestors believed birds carried prayers skyward, so you add a feather motif, just in case. Heat haze blurs the horizon. Your thumbnails raw switch hands, the left's clumsier, but the mound won't judge. Much. Notice those tiny holes pocking the clay, mouse-sized portals. Farmers slid seed packets inside, barley kernels wrapped in hibiscus leaves. A dowry for the earth. Retrieve one, and you'll find hollow husks, maternities consumed by grateful dirt. Footsteps crunch behind you. A roaming goat chews your discarded fig stem, its rectangular pupils judging your artistry. Defiance made flesh. Shoo it away before it pees on the zigzag defenses. Shadows stretch now, long fingers clawing eastward. Finish the final loop. 3 spirals for root strength. 2 cross-hatched lines against weevils. 1 lopsided heart. For whom the soil doesn't ask. Rising cracks knees first. Blood rushes from your head, world tilting like a drunkard's compass. Steady yourself against the mound, leaving a sweaty palm print. An accidental signature. Wind tests your work, scattering clay crumbs into eddies. Catch a spiral fragment on your tongue. Tastes like hope and iron. Swallow. Let it simmer with yesterday's bad decisions. The girl points where your design meets older etchings, faded symbols buried under newer pleas. Generations of farmers wrote over each other revisions, layered like geological strata. Her fingertip bridges a modern spiral, and its ancestor, 2 petitions separated by centuries. Dust storms once buried entire mounds, only to resurrect them decades later. Farmers claimed the earth remembered the etchings. Geologists mutter about erosion patterns. You pocket a crumbled glyph, pocket lint as archive. Sunset stains the clay blood orange. Tomorrow's rain will soften these pleas into sludge, returning them to the termites. Care. Prayer's a temporary condition here, scratched, dissolved, reborn. Walk home backward. Watch shadows swallow your artwork whole. By dawn, only the heart remains, beating faintly in the mud. You backtrack past the acacia grove. Heel first, like a heron, stalking minnows. The carcass stench hits before you see it. Ibex ribs poking through red dirt like broken rafters. 4 vultures assume their council formation, black feathers blurring into judges' robes. Aksumites rarely buried livestock corpses. Why waste good rot? Modern agronomists confirm carrion boosts nitrogen, but farmers here knew it first. That skeletal goat's doing more dead than alive, its marrow brewing underground banquets for millet roots. 1 bird waddles closer, prehensile neck bobbing. You freeze mid-step. Its glare says you're interrupting the buffet. Tradition claims they're soil angels, but these mercenaries work for maggots. Notice the carcass placement, perched beside a termite mound's eastern slope, strategic. Rot juices seep downward into insect highways, fertilizer delivery, via six-legged UPS. Your great uncle swore vultures aimed corpses like archers. But that's probably the mead talking. Historians still argue whether farmers dragged dead goats, here intentionally, or just exploited nature's gruesome pantry. Either way, dig where vultures quarrel. Your sandal prods loosened soil. The earth feels spongy, fat with decomposition. Wretchworthy, sure, effective, indisputable. A 4th century tax ledger from Adulize lists vulture fields yielding double barley crops. Check the math. Rot pays dividends. The boldest scavenger lunges for a tendon. Others squawk protest, feathers puffing like black umbrellas. Their beaks make wet clay sounds trowels, sculpting the afterlife. Here's the twisted part. Farmers mimicked vulture postures during planting rites. Arms outstretched, heads tilted, slow spins, mimicking carrion surveys. Outsiders called it barbaric. Botanists noted taller sorghum in danced plots. Correlation. Maybe. Creepy. Absolutely. Your toe nudges a femur. It crumbles time's finished chewing. Termites already vacuumed the marrow. Now beetles polish the scraps. This economy never sleeps. Spot the cactus pear tossed near the ribcage. Old trick. Sweet pulp lures jackals, whose droppings add phosphorus. Circle of life meets agricultural supply chain. Winds shift, gagging you with decay perfume. Should brought mint leaves for your nostrils. Rookie mistake number 2 today. The vultures retreat, wings slapping air like wet laundry. They'll return at moonset. Deaths never private here. All meals are group projects. Kneel beside the carcass pit. Fingers sift soil, gritty, cool, vibrating with unseen feasts. This isn't dirt anymore, it's alchemy in progress. Archaeologists found baboon bones in Aksumite compost heaps, proof even pests got recycled. Waste not, want not, worship the rot. A dung beetle rolls past, its prize reeking of zebu and destiny. Let it pass. Those little janitors grind last week's meals into tomorrow's bread. Stand too quickly, the world spins. Vultures mock your wobble with guttural croaks. They're right to laugh. Humans are just middlemen here delivering corpses to the real custodians. Sunset bronzes the scene. What was grotesque at noon turns sacred in ochre light. Even flies glint like moving topaz. You snap an ibex tooth from the jawbone, pocket it alongside yesterday's pottery shard. Mementos or theft, depends who's asking. Walk home forward this time. Let night handle the cleanup crew. Behind you, beaks clack a rhythmic yes, yes, yes to the stars. You veer left at the whistling thorn, its branches conducting an unseen orchestra. Evening transforms acacia trees into jagged silhouettes, guardians gripping the horizon. Their knife blade thorns glint nature's barbed wire, keeping thirst at bay. Reach for a fallen leaf, paper thin, and twice as bitter. Aksumite manuals called this soil medicine, steeped in urine for 3 dawns. The brew could kill aphids, or your will to live depending on the dosage. Modern labs confirmed it. Acacia tannins paralyze root-eating larvae. Back then, they just knew gnawed crops meant weak tea. Missives from Roman traders mention Aksum's stinking forests, probably after one whiff of those brews. Kneel by the nearest termite mound, its clay cooled by acacia shade. Touch the north face, still damp despite the day's furnace breath. Those thorns aren't just weapons, they're umbrellas. Every third tree bears scars, horizontal gashes from iron blades. Sap oozes like molten amber. Harvesting gum arabic was women's work, and a secret trade currency. Men pretended not to notice their pockets bulging with resin lumps. Peel back a bark flap, it's warmer underneath. A dozen termites scramble their jaws, clacking Morse code. Their landlords hear the acacias, just a tenant with good HVAC. Wind threads through thorn gaps, a low whistle sharp enough to cut moonlight. Elders called these ancestor breaths. Skeptics say it's basic aerodynamics, but you hum along anyway. Historians still argue whether farmers planted acacias intentionally or just exploited nature's fortifications. Either way, dig where shadows stutter. Your fingernail traces a root's path, a subterranean river of ambition. Spot the beetle carcasses impaled on thorns. Acacias hire ant mercenaries, sweet nectar for security details. It's a neighborhood watch with more spikes and fewer cookies. Pluck a seed pod, it rattles like a dried serpent. Inside, beans harder than Pharaoh's heart. Grind them during drought year's flour, so bitter it's basically punishment bread. Rain suddenly slicks the clay, a 5-minute tease from lazy clouds. Acacia leaves channel each drop into grudging sips for the mound. You catch runoff in your palm. It tastes like iron and bad decisions. The tree creaks, a sound older than Lent. Some claim Aksum's tallest acacia guided Queen Makeda's caravans. Botanists date the stump remains to her reign, but poetry outruns fact every time. There, between the 5th and 6th thorns, a hornbill's nest welded with mud and spite. Architects could learn from that structural anger. Churn the soil, here it's darker than midnight's bad side. Acacia roots fix nitrogen underground alchemy, even goldsmiths envied. Modern organic farms mimic this with clover. But clover doesn't stab you while harvesting. Your heel crushes a fallen branch. The snap echoes like a femur fracture. Termites pour out, soldiers waving antennae sabers. Retreat 10 paces. They'll rebuild before you blink. Silhouettes deepen as the sun surrenders. Acacia shadows stretch into braided ropes as if dragging the earth closer to the stars. You pocket a gum glob, emergency lamp fuel, or career-ending regret. Wipe your hands on rough bark. The scrape sings through your palms. Calluses are Aksumite handshakes, proof you've wrestled the land and lived. Ants ants storm your sandal strap, furious red commas. Brush them off gently. Their great-great-great-grandparents guarded this tree when your family were nomadic herders. Seniority matters. Moonrise stains the thorns mercury blue. Farmers once hung snake skins here, ghostly flags to scare locusts. Did it work? Zero evidence. But terror's a persuasive pesticide. One last exhale against the trunk, your breath steals resin scent. It clings like a rumor, memory's oldest adhesive. Walk west. The acacia's thorns snag your sleeve in farewell. Or warning. Some relationships stay complicated. You round a termite mound draped in episode vines, its surface pocked with tiny handprints, children's laughter braids with the buzz of dung beetles. A girl kneels nearby, kneading clay into miniature towers. Her fingers move like river eels, nimble and sure. Notice the pebbles wedged into her sculpture's sides, imitation air vents borrowed from real mounds nearby. Boys hoot as their mud cities collapse, a lesson in unstable foundations disguised as play. Historians confirm Aksumite literacy rates were low, but soil literacy, PhD level. The girl thrusts her creation at you, clay still glistening. Press a thumb into its flank. Too wet, she'd scold if she spoke your language. Density matters. Soggy soil drowns seeds, a truth learned young. Eavesdrop on their bickering. One lad insists, termite queens demand honey offerings. His rival mocks him, tossing goat droppings into his mound replica. A debate as old as dirt, superstition versus observation. Watch them crouch, foreheads nearly touching, to study an anthill's inner chambers. They're mapping violence which tunnels flood first during rains. Later, they'll scratch similar diagrams in the fields with sticks. Someone produces a stolen grinding stone. Pulverized clay puffs into a beige cloud. Coughing, they amend the mixture with sand. Trial, error, more error. Play is serious business here. A toddler rams his fist into an older kid's sculpture. The group howls, a chaotic lecture on soil cohesion. Aksum's proverb echoes. Break another's mound, tend your own cracks next season. Spot the reed straws they're using, siphoning water into tiny reservoirs beneath the clay, clever mimics of termite-made condensation traps. Modern engineers would patent this if it weren't invented by 8-year-olds. The girl grabs your wrist, dunking your hand into a slurry of silt and saliva. Her palms sculpt yours, forcing them into precise angles. Resistance is futile. You're now part of the curriculum. They critique your lopsided tower with grunts and eye rolls. One boy smashes it, reassigning your clay to patch his masterpiece. Demotion stings a butt you're learning. Sunlight glints off something wedged in the mud, a Roman coin. Traders used these as game tokens. Archaeologists find them strewn near ancient playgrounds. Whether lost bets or bribes for better grades, history won't say. Teens arrive bearing baskets of ash. The little ones cheer. Ash means plaster, the secret ingredient for durable models. A teen flicks some into a brat's eyes, payback's a biblical constant. Watch them layer ash and clay like ritual pastry. Fingernails etch irrigation channels, deeper here, shallower there. Their squabbles fade into focused silence. Even mockery becomes methodology. Someone discovers beetle larvae in the mud, a bonus protein snack. Roasted termites were the original classroom popcorn. Don't ask how they start the fires. The girl, now caked in muck up to her elbows, press an ear to her creation, mimicking elders who listened for Earth's groundwater whispers. Her frown says the dirt's keeping secrets. Adults appear, barely glancing at the chaos. They know play precedes mastery. One mother pauses, adjusting her son's mud-stiffened collar. Her hands linger, pride wearing patience like a shawl. Dusk softens the clay into ruins. Tomorrow they'll build anew. Historians still argue whether Aksum had formal schools, but dig anywhere. The dirt's full of chalkless blackboards. You pocket a dried mud shard, its edges imprinted with a child's fingerprint. Centuries from now, someone might mistake it for a king's seal. History favors the persistent, not the powerful. Fireflies blink above the abandoned cities. Their light glazes the miniature mounds, a fleeting museum of what children teach the earth. Walk away slowly. Those ankle-high ruins deserve your respect. Blisters sprout between your toes, price of admission to the stomping grounds. Torch smoke claws your throat, sweetened by burning frankincense resin. A dozen bare soles slam dirt in cross rhythms, left foot triple time, right dragging like a reluctant plow. Archaeologists have carbon dated similar ritual spaces near Aksum's Great Stele. Proof drought dances weren't metaphorical. Your heels catch the pattern on the third try. Thud slide, pause to spit. Elders claim saliva lubricates the earth's joints. A teen glares when you miss the spit arc trajectory. Turns out disrespecting tradition tastes like dust. The circle tightens, shoulder to sweaty shoulder. Someone's grandmother mutters how termites drum alarm signals through mound walls during invasions. Imitate that panic wake the groundwater from its lazy nap. Historians still argue whether these vibrations dislodged mineral deposits or just made farmers feel less helpless. A girl about your height stomps double time, her braids lashing like angry cobras. She's the metronome. Follow or get trampled. The rhythm migrates up your calves, now your hips, finally your clenching jaw. You're a human pestle grinding the soil's stubbornness. Someone yowls, high and wavering. The call gets echoed, passed around the circle like a communal curse. Aunties swear this particular cry imitates thirsty sorghum roots. Your version earns a snort laugh from the guy beside you. Torchlight glints on wrist cuffs made of woven grass, their rattle adding percussion. One man's ankles jingle with copper bells looted from Roman trader caravans. Practical theft. Every ting supposedly echoes water dripping into cavities. Your soles detect a temperature shift, Or maybe you're hallucinating coolness. The circle lunges left, then right, knees bent like harvesters scything stalks. Dirt sticks to your sweat, forming a second skin of desperation. Remember those termite-made condensation traps. Elders insist drought dances reverse the process, forcing moisture upward through sheer vibrational nagging. Science shrugs, but dig 6 feet here in August. The soil stays suspiciously damp. A woman hacks into the circle, dragging a dried goat bladder swollen with pebbles. She stomps it rhythmically, a pustular maraca. Children imitate her with gourds until someone's instrument shatters mid-shake. Seeds spray everywhere. Free snacks. Breath comes in rasps now. The girl with cobra braids starts ululating, the signal to pivot. Suddenly, you're marching outward, then inward spiraling like ants circling dying prey. It's the cha-cha-cha of existential dread. Someone knees a clay pot into the center, filled with ash and crushed moonstones. The circle stills. When you sneeze, 3 people hiss. Reverent fingers draw symbols in the ash. Turns out water please looks like a drunk millipede. 2 shirtless uncles haul in a termite mound fragment, still swarming. They drop it onto the ash glyphs. Insects boil across the patterns, rearranging them into mandalas. Only queens understand. One elder nods. They agree to negotiate. Eat this salted termite off a thorn tip. Everyone does. It tastes like compliance. Teenagers dare each other to swallow workers alive, their throats undulating like startled snakes. Tradition meets dares gone wrong. The dance resumes slower now. Ground feels spongier, or maybe your feet are just numb. Torches burn low. Someone's toddler waddles into the circle, imitation stomping, with gravy-smeared feet. The elders don't stop him. Hope can't be age-gated. When the stars pivot overhead, you're released. Toes bleed, prune forget they've ever known sandals. Walk past the fields tomorrow, you'll spot new cracks in the soil. Coincidence? Keep that doubt to yourself. Men are already arguing about tomorrow's rhythm variations, more heel, less slide. Versus slap the ground like it owes you money. You side-eye the fractured moon. Whatever works, as long as breakfast porridge stays liquid. Ashy glyphs glow under departing torches. Termites haul their queen's eggs to safety, or maybe deeper mischief. Their tunnels thrum with your bootless demands. Negotiations continue underground, no restraddles required. Smoke curls where torchlight faltered, a new acrid tang replacing frankincense's cling. They're roasting barley grains in clay pots, or maybe charring blight-ridden sorghum stalks. You count 7 mounds circled with ash, each guarded by elders clutching flaming thorn bundles. Controlled burns were Ethiopia's early answer to crop rotation. Carbon dated to the 3rd century BCE. A shirtless man jabs his torch downward, kissing dry grass. Flames waltz outward, hesitate at the first termite tower's base. Workers boil forth, carrying pearly larvae like overeaten wedding guests. Queens survive deep below their chambers, insulated by 60 feet of engineered dirt. One boy claims he's seen fire-shy termites seal tunnels with regurgitated gravel. You half believe him. Heat licks your shins, perspiration sizzling where it drips. Someone hands you a porcupine quill filled with powdered ostrich eggshell. Sprinkle it counterclockwise, confuses the blight demons. It's probably calcium boosters, but the placebo of ritual has its charms. Watch how flames gnaw only the mound's crust, sparing the honeycombed heart. It's pyrosurgery. Ash from burned millet husks gets kneaded into the scorched earth. Tomorrow, a microbial reboot. Your sandals melt slightly, toe straps, now fused with artistic deformity. Elders debate spacing between burns, pacing like caged hyenas. One insists full moons make flames hungrier for disease. Another argues termite saliva's flame-retardant properties peak during dung beetle migrations. Historians still argue whether these burns increased yields or just gave farmers illusion of control. A woman drags a charred goat horn, scooping hot ash into woven baskets. Each scoop gets blessed with spit. Kids toss pebbles into the embers, listening for cracks that predict next season's rainfall. 3 quick pops mean maize prices will rise. Your quill runs empty. An auntie refills it with crushed beetle wings, iridescent dust sticking to your sweat. Scarab sparkles scare away ash thieves, she murmurs. You doubt Neolithic bandits feared glitter, but the logic feels bulletproof at midnight. Flames exhale, replaced by creeping smoke tendrils. Someone unfolds a soaked antelope hide, slapping it over the smoldering mound. The hiss sounds like 1,000 eunuchs gossiping. Teenagers dare each other to lick the steam, a game ending in burnt tongues and admiration. Dawn creeps in gray and apologetic. The mounds stand scorched, but unbowed, their inhabitants already repairing damages. You notice blackened earth crumbles easier between fingers, less like stone, more like crushed velvet. A child collects crispy termites into a reed basket. Breakfast sprinkles, she declares. Men arrive with hoe blades modified by fire, tempered edges glowing faintly. They till the ash into furrows with practiced violence. One pauses to flick a surviving termite off his wrist, its jaws still snapping. Mutualism has limits. You join the ash-spreading line, fingers blistering under the gritty load. It's lighter than expected, like handling the ghosts of last year's harvest. Someone hums the drought dance rhythm, its tempo slowed to a funeral dirge. The earth accepts its medicine without ceremony. A girl offers you a charred maize husk, its kernels exploded into foam. Crunch it. Taste the paradox, destruction that nourishes, fire that incubates. Your molars protest. She grins, blackened kernels wedged between her teeth like tiny curses. By midday, the first beetles return, iridescent backs gleaming against soot. They roll ash balls twice their size of tiny Sisyphuses, with better work ethic. Elders nod, approving their frenzied labor. They'll mix what we missed. Your belly growls, ash aftertaste merging with residual termite salt. Survival tastes like arrogance and humility. And whatever that charred root chunk was, you wash it down with fermented tamarind sludge. The afterburn feels like redemption. Shadows stretch, stained blue by lingering smoke. Farmers poke sticks into reformed termite tunnels testing for structural grudges. The mounds breathe easier now, unclogged by fire's rude intervention. You pocket a shard of melted sandal as a souvenir. Progress requires sacrifice and better footwear. That night, dreams come charcoaled and chaotic. A termite queen demands rent for borrowing her soil. You pay in toenail clippings and rhetorical questions. She seems satisfied. Dawn finds your soles calloused, your lungs ash-seasoned, your plot of earth impatient for seeds. Moonlight slicks the dunes like spilled mercury. Your shadow stretches 3 farmers tall. That melted sandal chunk digs into your hip, a reminder that fire forgives no fashion choices. Camels snort in their pen, indignant about pre-dawn productivity. Their droppings steam faintly, fresh chess pieces scattered across shadowed soil. A girl no older than 5 presents you with a woven sieve, its holes shaped like sickle moons. We sort by smell, she explains. Rotting dung gets tossed, Swedish pellets kept. You soon learn sweet here means makes your sinuses regret existence. They're harvesting tonight for a reason. New moon darkness slows decomposition, lets nitrogen stew in its own juices. Aksumite's timed fertilizer prep to lunar cycles, scrolls from Yeha confirm it. The practice outlived the kingdom by centuries, though modern agronomists still scratch their foreheads. Men load baskets using fire-hardened tongs, avoiding direct contact with the dung's night chill. One jokes about a neighbor who handled pellets barehanded, now cursed to sneeze during rainstorms. You make mental note. Gloves stay ON. Women chant while working, a melody that's half lullaby, half instruction manual. Bury deep, where termites fear to dig where shadows merry roots despair, poetic. Sure, OSHA compliant. Less so, your assigned trench reeks of ammonia and crushed hope. Someone hands you a pellet clump, it's suspiciously warm. Roll it 3 times west to east, grunts a elder missing 2 fingers. Aligns the dung's spirit with Jeb's belly. You comply and swear the thing pulses. Placebo. Probably. Horror. Definitely. The real magic happens underground. Termite mounds spaced too far apart get these fermented gifts. Custom blended compost for lonely soil. You watch a boy press a dung ball into a cavity, his lips moving in silent treaty with the earth. Dawn licks the horizon, workers retreat before Ra's chariot flares. Buried pellets will bake slowly, their gases trapped like genies in clay lamps. By next planting season, they'll erupt into green momentum. At least that's the sales pitch. A Chinese letter flickers at breakfast. Young men argue whether camel gender affects dung potency. Males give tougher pellets better for clay. Nonsense. Females, dung held more passion. You chew your sorghum cake silently, judging their life choices. Historians still argue whether lunar-timed dung boosted yields or just gave farmers an excuse for midnight escapades. Scrolls praise the method, but tax records show crop taxes remained uncharitably stable. Your hands reek despite 3 washings. A matriarch giggles, offering a salve of ground olive pits and honey. Smear it on smells like regret's richer cousin. It works if working means replacing dung stench with beehive dumpster fire. Teenagers dare each other to swallow a pellet whole, the ultimate fertility ritual. Losers gag, winners get bragging rights, and 4 days of digestive regretty. You decline. Some traditions deserve extinction. By noon, the pits are sealed, termite mounds now flanked by dung shrines. A child carves crude scarabs into the dirt lids, protection against lazy decomposers. You add your own squiggle, a melted sandal for good measure. Elder eyes scrutinize the sun. 2 moons till we check, they murmur. You do the math. That's 6 weeks of hoping camel crap philosophy holds merit. The village survives on such equations. As you leave, a nomad offers a parting gift, a dung pellet necklace. For strong children, he smirks. You knot it around your wrist, because anthropology sometimes smells like poor decisions. The road home hums with midges and doubt. Did ancient kings truly plot fertilizer schedules by starlight, or did some clever shepherd once blame the moon for his procrastination? Either way, the earth gets fed. Termites trace your shadow as you walk, their antennae twitching at the scent. Mutualism wears many hats. Tonight's is decidedly aromatic, fingerprints crusted with dried camel dung. Now there's a spa treatment history forgot. The next dawn brings cooler sand and suspiciously round rocks. Your guide kneels beside a termite mound, flat stone in hand. Echo test, he grunts, no further explanation. Classic. You copy his stance, palm the smoothest rock within theft radius. It sits heavy like a fossilized pancake. He demonstrates. Lift, drop, cock ear. The stone cracks against the mound's crust and hums, a low, wet thunk like a melon dropped in mud. Hollow, he declares. Dig here. Workers swarm, their hose biting where sound said soft. Turns out termite cities breathe through chimney-like vents. Hit a sealed chamber. The tone rings bright, soil stays compacted. Miss. Prepare for collapsed tunnels. Historians found similar stones in Aksumite tool caches, crude but precise. Petroglyphs show farmers holding discs aloft, though some argue they're just early frisbee enthusiasts. A teen girl giggles as you miss your drop, rock skittering off the mound's shoulder. Need softer wrists, she corrects. Her toss lands center mass. The clack sings clear approving. You suddenly grasp why guitarists obsess over tone woods. Quirky bit, elders swear certain stones gossip. A quartz vein in the north supposedly screeched warnings before locust swarms. Farmers carried shards as charms, and emergency projectile rodent deterrents. Your 10th attempt finally earns a decent thrum. Workers dig, unearthing a labyrinth of clay galleries. Termites seethe, their palatial commute disrupted. The guide nods. Good echo means roots can stretch here. You eye the crumbling architecture, nature's own soil report card. Someone hands you a lucky stone, pierced by a perfect hole. Peer through, see the world as a termite might. Distorted, grainy, relentlessly focused on digestion. You pocketed tourist traps, existed long before keychains. Midday heat warps the air. A debate erupts at lunch. Workers argue whether saliva affects stone acoustics. One licks his rock, ceremoniously drops it. The clack tilts sharper. See, vocal cords. Skeptics roll eyes, but stealthily moisten their own stones. Historians still argue whether echo testing improved yields or just gave farmers scientific cover for random digging. Scrolls praise the method's earthy wisdom, but some mounds had perfect tones and caved in any way. You're invited to bless a new stone, anointing it with fermented honey wine. The liquid evaporates instantly, leaving sticky residue. Now every toss comes with mutant flies in pursuit. Progress. By sunset, your ears ache from sonic overdrive. Mounds scored, trenches mapped, workers disperse. The guide stays behind, kneeling. He presses his forehead to the excavated soil, listening for replies. Maybe geology prays harder after dark. Stars prickle awake as you retreat. That hold stone weighs your pocket, a lens to reinterpret landscapes. Tomorrow's problem. Explaining airport security while you're smuggling Neolithic rock candy. Termites click in the gloom, their disapproval audible. You click back. Communication isn't exclusive to primates with rocks. The desert swallows the conversation, unimpressed. Dawn cracks open the sky, your souls already protesting the day's first mile. Then you spot them, elder women hunched like herons at mound bases. Their hands knead wet clay into medicine. The widow Abarash beckons, her grin a map of creases. Even feet deserve forgiveness, she croons. You shed sandals reluctantly, exposing heels split like overbaked bread. The mud hits cold, then warm. It smells of iron and crushed thyme, nature's spa cocktail. Abarash works it thick, her thumbs finding pressure points forgotten by modern podiatry. Termites sieve the clay clean, she explains. Finer than any apothecary's sieve. Historians note Aksumite trade logs shipped this mud to coastal cities. Royal foot, tax paid in callous balm. European accounts mocked it as pagan paste until Venetian merchants repackaged it as terra sancta at 300% markup. Your toes vanish under gray goop. Abarash hums a lullaby, same tune farmers use for coaxing seedlings. Dew softens the clay at dawn, she whispers. Like skin, earth remembers tenderness. Skepticism melts faster than your makeshift pedicure in the rising sun. Quirk alert, some versions mixed minced scarab beetles for texture. Scrolls debate whether it exfoliated or just terrified parasites. Trial records show a jilted wife once substituted crushed wasp wings. Husband screams allegedly cleared a vulture flock from Market Square. The mud dries tight, a second skin hardening with each step. You shuffle like a gecko cast in concrete. Aberrash laughs, a sound like wind through cracked jugs. Pain means it's working. Her own feet bare, smooth, mock your urban delicacy. By midday, the cracks knit shut under clay's itchy embrace. You catch yourself admiring a particularly artisanal mound, appraisal skills shifting from crops to cosmetics. Aberrash halts you. Not that one, she warns. Angry queen inside makes the mud taste bitter. Genius, letting insects quality test skincare via flavor. Modern brands take notes. Nightfall brings relief, peeling off the cast in one satisfying sheet. Your heels glow newborn pink, though that might be sunset's doing. Aberrash inspects her handiwork. Good soil, good souls, she nods. Same as crops listen when the earth offers gifts. Historians still argue whether these masks healed or just distracted farmers from chronic blisters through communal humiliation. Skeletons show fewer foot lesions than Roman contemporaries, but Romans wore sandals with better arch support. You pocket a clay lump airport security's problem now. Aberrash waves farewell, already smearing another victim's feet. Her laughter follows you, a reminder that survival here isn't just yields and rain dances. Sometimes it's letting mud do the talking while your souls shut up. Termites click approval from their freshly plundered mound. You resist the urge to apologize. Beauty regimens have always required sacrifices. The desert breeze carries a new scent, eucalyptus. Mint. No, just parched soil and the faintest hint of beetle shell lacquer. The beetle shell lacquer scent fades as you trek east. Crumbling termite towers rise like broken teeth. Herders whistle their goats surge ahead in a hairy avalanche. Hooves crash down, pulverizing fragile clay walls into golden dust. Termites scatter, a shimmering black river fleeing disaster. You squint at the chaos. Farming or pest control? You mutter. A shepherd leaning on his staff chuckles. Both. Hungry bugs dig harder. His grin holds no apology. Modern agronomists confirm crushed mounds boost soil aeration by 40%. Those tunnels rebuild deeper, wider. Carbon-dated clay fragments stamped with goat hooves prove the practice spans 8 centuries. Archaeologists found termite remains in ancient livestock dung. Surprise fertilizer bonus. Goats trot off, their clattering bells smothered in termite grit. You kneel where a mound once stood. The earth feels looser already, air pockets beckoning thirsty roots downward. Cruelty with purpose, the shepherd shrugs. Like pruning vines to save the grapes. Quirk incoming, some herders smeared goat saliva on mounds pre-stomp. They swore it made termites rebuild faster. Scrolls debate whether it was chemical persuasion or just bad insect breath. Court records show a 14th century feud over stolen spit goats settled via dung-flinging duel. You brush clay dust from your eyelids. Rebuilding shafts glisten below tiny workers hauling grains of grit. Their efficiency shames your last apartment move. Do they starve? You ask. The shepherd spits, a brown arc hitting parched soil. Survivors thrive. Weak ones, he crumbles dirt between calloused fingers, become the field. Historians still argue whether this was calculated ecology or desperation, dressed as wisdom. Excavated granaries show record yields post-trampling, but termite fossils decline sharply in those layers. Maybe the smart bugs just relocated nature's original subcontractors. Sunset stains the debris field blood orange. New tunnels already vein the earth, subterranean highways forged under duress. You inhale air laced with crushed chitin. It smells like progress and wingless guilt. The shepherd offers a leathery date from his pouch. Watch next week, he says. New towers, better ones. Your sandal sinks into softened earth, a spongy rebound modern tillers dream about. Somewhere below, a queen rallies her workforce. Mound 20 rises unseen, its architecture adjusted for future hooves. The cycle feels biblical. Knock down your house, rebuild wiser. You pocket a salvaged mud chunk, its edges already chewed smooth by insects. Tomorrow's problem. The shepherd's laughter follows you home, a raspy soundtrack to humanity's oldest dance. Step on nature, then beg it for favors. Crickets shred the silence with approval, or maybe complaints. Entomology's eternal Rorschach test. Your blisters throb, footwear no match for kilometers walked. Aberrash's clay remedy flakes off in protest. Trade-offs, always trade-offs. Termites know the score. The market's noon heat makes you crave shadow-stewed beer until a clay bowl blocks your path. A rain priestess rattles it like dice. Termite jaws clatter against fired earth. Her headdress drips with beetle wings and desperation. Hear the future's hunger, she hisses. You peer inside, 30 crescent mandibles, gleaming like cracked ivory. Akhenaten might outlawed this practice in Egypt, but Aksum's storm readers thrived. Excavated bowls from Lalibela confirm it, centuries-old chitin, preserved in ritual resin. Scholars call it entomomancy, farmers called it dinner theater with stakes. She tilts the bowl, your nose stings from fermented honey wafting off the bones. 3 unbroken dry winds come. 5 shattered floods devour the harvest. Her thumb rubs a mandible's serrated edge. It snaps with a popcorn crack. You jump, she cackles. Nervous gods make brittle prophecies. Her fingernails ooze indigo dye, a side job stamping prayer scrolls. You notice termite paste smeared on her earlobes. An old text mentions this boosts bone hearing. Quirk alert, some priestesses mixed menstrual blood with the resin. Tax records show temple fines for staining ceremonial linen. You're handed the bowl. The mandibles weigh nothing, like holding ghost teeth. Shake gently. A staccato symphony of clicks. 5 intact, 7 fractures, 2 pulverized. The priestess sucks her teeth, brace for drowning rains, and hungry crocodiles in the irrigation ditches. She pockets your coin, or maybe locusts. The bones get sarcastic in summer. Historians still argue whether these rituals guided planting seasons or just lined priestly pockets. Sure, scrolls document 80% accuracy, but temple scribes wrote those. Modern soil analysis shows some flood years were just clever composting. Your sandal sticks to spilled honey, termite-bound curses, or poor housekeeping. The priestess waves you off, already swindling a spice merchant. Don't plant barley next moon, she calls, unless you enjoy soupy bread. You pocket a fallen mandible, its edge nicks your thumb. Blood beads, the priestess winks, sacrifice accepted. Suddenly, this feels less quaint anthropology. Mid-afternoon haze blurs the market into a watercolor smear. You pass dung brick shrines piled with termite rubble, offerings to forgotten moisture gods. A boy sells fried locusts glazed in mound clay. Extra crunch, he promises. Your stomach vetoes that experiment. Dust devils spiral near the temple gates, prankster winds mocking mortal plans. That mandible burns in your pocket. Science says chitin can't predict weather, but your sweat-soaked tunic argues otherwise. The priestess's laugh trails you, a hyena-chased chuckle. Somewhere, termites rebuild their shattered jaws. Farmers eye the cloudless sky. You walk faster. The first fat raindrops hit like spit from a sarcastic heaven. The sky's spit becomes a deluge, mud devouring your sandals as you flee. Termite drones bob in puddles, their wings waterlogged. You reach your hut as the first hunger moon rises, its belly hollow between storm clouds. No planting tonight, not if you want barley to grow roots instead of resentment. Aksumite lunar calendars prove it. Crater shadows align with termite dormancy. Farmers whispered that seeds sown now would rise as ghosts, their stalks translucent and ravenous. A child cries 3 huts over, empty stomachs harmonizing with the gurgling earth. Your neighbor guts a scrawny goat, a desperation feast. Its ribs jut like failed furrows. You count termite mounds visible in the moonlight, 7 plump sentinels, all sealed shut. Historians note parallels with Roman cementivy festivals, both cultures banning planting during lunar absences. But here, the taboo sticks like clay, even the priestesses fast. Scrolls from a dualized document finds for moonlit sowing, 12 bronze coins per defiant seed. Your guts growl. You finger a millet pouch, its contents forbidden till dawn. Quirk alert, some farmers chewed termite clay to mute hunger pangs. Digs uncover skeletal jaws, stained ochre, grit worn into dental grooves. A drunk stumbles past, his breath reeking of fermented sorghum. Plant anyway, he hiccups. What's one curse more? His sandals squelch toward a fallow field. You peer through reed walls, watch him drop seeds into sludge. Morning finds his plot crusted with saltpeter blooms, white as moth wings. The man wails, scooping contaminated soil. Your eldest cousin shrugs. Moon-sick earth, birthed poison instead of grain. She offers him ash cakes, charred edges hiding weevil protein. By noon, the priestesses arrive, ankle bells jangling. They trample the blighted furrows, chanting to seal the rupture. One slips you a clay token. Its glyphs promise leniency for a goat. You bury it instead. Historians still argue whether hunger moons prevented soil depletion or just culled the poorest farmers. Modern agronomists mutter about nitrogen cycles. Ancient ones prayed to termite kings. Both agree on one thing, that Drunk's field stayed barren for 3 generations. You spit sour saliva. Hunger turns even mucus acidic. The village baker accidentally burns today's loaves. Blackened crusts hide noncompliance. You gnaw charcoal, it tastes like guilt and surviving. Rain resumes at dusk. Through the downpour, a glint. The drunk's abandoned seeds sprout silver shoots. They sway without wind, a metallic whisper. You step closer, they crumble to ash. The priestesses return at midnight, faces smeared with termite paste. They kneel, scooping tainted soil into onyx jars. One catches you watching. Sometimes the land hungers too, she says. Her teeth gleam too sharp. You dream of jaws, mandibles snapping in lunar soil. Your harvest burns. Your children's hands turn to dust. Dawn arrives sweating and sour. The fields steam fertility restored. Farmers emerge, seeds blessed but hesitant. The hunger moon fades, its lesson clinging like mud to your heels. You plant at first light, knees trembling. The soil accepts your offering, no curses, no salt. For now, your hoe strikes something unyielding, not rock, but carved soapstone. Neighbors materialize like vultures spotting carrion. That's our grandfather's marker. A man barks, his chin quivering with inherited outrage. Aksumite boundary disputes rarely involved maps. Why etch papyrus when termite mounds kept better records? Fields belonged to whichever family's insect allies built tallest. Archaeologists found soapstone slabs matching this practice, some engraved with King Ezana's laws about earth claims written in clay. You wipe mud from the stone. Its glyphs show 2 hands clasping a termite queen, the old peace symbol. Your accuser's sister snorts. That mound by the acacia's ours. It sprouted after last rains. She points to a puny hillock, its summit chewed blunt by goats. Elders arrive, robes stained with beetle nut. They jab staffs into both mounds, measuring height. Yours towers 3 handspans taller. Cue victory dance. Not quite. The real test comes at sunset, when soldier termites patrol. Quirk time disputants must present their best warrior termite. Elders pit them in dung combat. Yours nips the rival's antenna clean off. The crowd ooze. It's like ancient UFC with more mandibles. Your foe's face crumples. We'll replant a queen next moon. He vows. Here's where it gets sneaky. Clever families smuggled royal termites into rivals' mounds. insect sleeper, agents sabotaging growth. Digs near Yeha revealed a queen's chamber lined with venomous senna leaves, likely an anti-espionage measure. You guard your mounds nightly now, spear glinting in firefly light. Kids from both clans lob dung pellets at each other. This feud could outlast the rainy season. Modern lawyers would faint. No deeds, no surveys, just bugs and bravado. Yet Aksum's court records show fewer land appeals than medieval Europe. Termites don't take bribes, see. Historians still argue whether these mound wars were about fertile soil or whose ancestors lied best. Your sore back votes for the dirt itself. A moonless night brings suspicious rustling. You catch the rival patriarch sprinkling crushed moonflower petals, a rumored termite aphrodisiac. Overstimulated colonies collapse from overbreeding. Diabolical. You retaliate with fermented baobab paste. Its stench repels workers. Next dawn, his mounds look deflated. Yours thrive, their clay glowing terracotta in first light. Truce comes via priestess decree. Both families must gift termites to the temple's sacred colony, a forced apology. You scoop your best workers into a bronze urn. Their legs scrape the metal, tiny protests. Years later, a new soapstone slab appears. Its carvings show two queens sharing a throne. The rival's son nods at you during harvest. Progress, maybe, or just tired termites. You press a palm to warm soil, feel the vibration of a million jaws. The real deed was never written, only chewed into existence, one mouthful at a time. The sweet rot of success turns sour. Your prize squash plants now host crimson ants, their jaws carving leaf veins into lace. You crushed termites to save roots from blight, only to birth winged devils. Trial by fire, literally. Torch smoke curls around ant highways. They simply detour underground. Their queen's pheromones overpower acrid fumes. A scout bites your ankle. Its venom burns like misplaced pride. Aksumites once used neem oil and chrysanthemum dust for pests. Safe deterrents cataloged in King Caleb's agricultural scrolls. You tried improving grandma's recipe with fermented baobab. Big mistake. The ants thrived on it, growing fat as date pits. But here's the kicker. Desperate farmers trained red ants. Yes, trained. Offerings of goat milk lured them to attack locust eggs. Some elders swear it worked, until the ants demanded daily tributes. Your field becomes amphitheater. Red ants duel black beetles over aphid farms, their battles churning soil like miniature plows. Seedlings drown in the carnage. You mourn last season's harmony, termites aerating, beetles scavenging, spiders on pest control. Historians still argue whether the great ant uprising came from pesticides or from exhausted termites abandoning their posts. You'd blame both. Kneeling, you spot an intact termite pellet, tiny, perfect, abandoned. It crumbles like a forgotten treaty. Nightfall brings revelation. A scout ant drags a termite, corpse twice its size, trophy or truce, moonlight glints on its armor. You recall legends of warrior castes bred during droughts. Too late now. Dawn exposes new overlords. Ant towers rise between your toes, crusted with stolen clay. Their tunnels siphon moisture from your beans. You taste metallic regret. That baobab brew still stains your fingertips. Rebellion brews beneath a gnarled sycamore. Neighbors whisper of truce colonies, mixing red ants with termite drones. Madness yet digs near Deberdamo revealed hybrid insect skeletons and a fresco of a two-headed queen. You try diplomacy. Honey traps line the fields, edge ant scouts swarm them. Workers haul sugary bribes home, forgetting your crops, temporary relief. By noon, reinforcements arrive, a glistening red river. A child's laugh cuts through despair. Your niece pokes a stick into an anthill. Ants swarm the wood, ignoring her feet. They like straight lines, she shrugs. You blink, straight trenches. You carve geometric canals around the fields. Ants march along razor-straight ditches, missing your plants entirely. Ancient Aksumite roads followed similar logic. Who's mimicking whom here? The ants seem impressed. Harvest arrives scrawny but salvageable. You leave the outermost rows as tribute. Red guardians patrol the perimeter, mandibles glinting. They've earned their cut. Termite mounds dot the horizon, reclaimed, perhaps, or waiting. As you grind sorghum, an ant crawls onto the quern. It hesitates, antennae testing air, then retreats. A truce, maybe, or a treaty written in pheromones you'll never decipher. The soil thrums differently now. Not the patient gnaw of termites, but the urgent tap-tap of ant jaws. You walk the field's edge at dusk, wondering what new balance you've chewed into being. Your compost heap blooms with defiance. A prickly crown of chilly stems pierces the twilight. This is no ordinary rot. These are warrior scraps, ghost peppers from Yemeni traders mixed with hyena dung, forged into pestilent gold. Dung beetles arrive first, shiny obsidian bodies bulldozing through the reek. They ignore the pepper's burn. Evolution gifted them no taste buds. Each pellet rolled away becomes a nutrient grenade, but the real magic happens underground, where spice meets soil alchemy. Heat cooks the poison out, or so the hope goes. An Aksumite tax ledger from 540 AD lists chili-stocked granaries. Proof rulers taxed this fiery defense, yet no one knows if peasants resented the heat or worshipped it. You tear another pepper, fingers stinging like you've squeezed a hornet's nest. Here's the nasty twist. Termite spit neutralizes capsaicin. Mound microbes devour the burn, turning napalm, compost into velvet loam. You catch a worker ant dragging a chili flake. Is this theft or sabotage? Neighbors mock your demon midden. Their piles stink of fish guts and hibiscus, but your melons grow twice as sweet, their orange flesh, speckled with volcanic seeds. Historians still argue whether Aksumites intentionally bred heat-loving crops or just got lucky with peppered dirt. Night unspools a silent war. Porcupines raid the pile, quills trembling at the first bite. Mice tunnel in, then flee sneezing. By dawn, only beetles remain, dutiful janitors, tidying up failed invasions. You try cheating, burying mango pits beneath the midden. 3 moons later, saplings erupt, leaves glittering with unnatural wax. Goats avoid them, but children pick the fruit. They swear it tingles like liquid moonlight. A traveling monk gifts you camphor oil, a holy repellent. You sprinkle it gingerly. Beetles detour, but so do worms. The soil stiffens, starved of their wriggling grace. Lesson learned: balance over brute force. Harvest unearths surprises, sweet potatoes striped like venomous snakes. Market women pay double for the freak show tubers. Your cursed compost becomes whispered legend. A merchant slips you papyrus, scrawled with a priest's demand for your recipe. Winter strips the game bare. Frost etches patterns on the midden, a lace of ice and chilly dust. You catch a beetle frozen mid-roll, its payload gleaming like a tiny planet. Spring thaws bring reckoning. The midden collapses, a steaming heap of black nectar. You plunge your hands in, burn long faded. The earth feels pregnant, greedy. Planting feels different this year. Each seed sits in a peppered grave, swaddled in beetle-made loam. When shoots break surface, their leaves curl upwards, as if laughing at the sun. Rain comes acidic, a legacy of distant volcanoes. Neighbors' crops yellow, but yours darken, a deep jade that mirrors stormy skies. You chew a bitter leaf. Electricity dances on your tongue. Harai the potter visits, eyes glued to your midden. She kneads its clay into a jug. Fired, it sings when filled, a low hum like distant bees. She calls it the vessel that remembers the burn. Years blur, your hands grow leathery, chili oil etched into creases. The midden outlives you, fed by grandsons who never met the beetles. One night, a traveler mistakes it for a shrine and leaves offerings of dried scorpions. The earth remembers. Always, you shuffle through market day chaos, baskets of teff flour, dusting your sandals with gold. Sycamores arch overhead, their mottled bark scarred by generations of nail-carved secrets. Here, gossip isn't just chatter, it's survival code etched into living wood. A spice merchant demonstrates scarab-repellent brew, crushed garlic steeped in camel urine. Rub it on seedling stems, she insists. You catch whiffs of the concoction. It smells like regret and bad life choices. Nearby, a farmer barters millet for advice. His fields' red ants built cairns around dying squash. The real action happens at drooping Amira, a sycamore bent like a gossiping crone. Its trunk bulges with resin-filled hollows, primitive slack channels for dirt-stained hands. Farmers wedge papyrus scraps inside, sun-baked messages for next market day. You find one, plant chickpea near East Mound, after beetle swarms trust the wobble. Aksum's trade routes once stretched to Rome and India, their coins jingling in ports from Alexandria to Mumbai. Yet here, under this arboreal basilica, The true wealth drips in proverbs. An elder howls laughter as he recounts stealing termite clay to mend his wife's oven. Bread rose faster than a startled gazelle. Then the hive rebelled, had to gift them honey for 7 moons. Watch for the rice twins, bandit scholars who memorize every exchanged trick. Their party piece, reciting 8 generations of blunders, crooked furrows that birthed famine, overwatered barley that summoned locusts. They chanted like epic poetry, voices clashing like mismatched cymbals. You toss them a dried fig, their memories sharpen with sugar. Ever heard of whisper holes? Crafty old Tuadros drills them into sycamore knotholes, ear-sized portals for shouting soil, updates downwind. Lean close at dusk. You'll hear distorted cries about millet blight or stolen dung hordes. Some say it's just wind, until your neighbor's warning about floodworms saves your yams. Historians still argue whether these trees were chosen for practical reasons, shallow roots that mirrored termite tunnels, or mere superstition. You stroke the bark, your fingers finding grooves where someone once scratched, but where the moon of false sprouts. Above, a woodpecker hammers nature's own CTRL+F for hidden messages. A girl tugs your sleeve, offers acacia pods in exchange for your worst mistake. You confess planting mint near chickpeas. She memorizes it, eyes shut, then spits into the soil. Now it's mine to avoid, she grins. Knowledge here is currency, and everyone's a little bankrupt. Sunset turns the grove into a cathedral of fireflies. You join the circle, passing a gourd of honey beer sharp enough to peel paint. Stories rise with the moon. How a bankrupt farmer trained rats to nibble blighted roots. How scorched millet stalks predict monsoon strength. Why pumpkin seeds sprout faster when cursed by a priest's 3rd wife. You leave your own offering, a clay token stamped with a termite silhouette. Slide it into Amira's hollow, an IOU for the next desperate soul. Walking home, you spot constellations through the sycamores. They seem to pulse, or maybe that's just the beer. Either way, you feel lighter. The earth's secrets were never meant to be carried alone. Your fingers brush soil where an Aksumite granary once stood. Now just faint ridges under chickweed. Satellite images show what your palms sense. Crumbling termite, highways aligned with ancient crop rotations. Scientists in Nairobi just proved it. Those insect duct tunnels reduce erosion by 62%. Yet the farmers here still call it Earth's veins and brew coffee grounds over mound clay to read tomorrow's rain. A drone buzzes overhead, some agritech startup mapping primitive sustainable practices. You smirk. Their LiDAR scans miss the real genius. Goat paths deliberately rooted over forgotten composting pits. One graduate student's thesis called it accidental genius. You've seen grandmothers redirect herds to resurrect those nutrient caches. Accidents don't last 2 millennia. UNESCO added these fields to their memory of the World Register last Tuesday. The plaque mentions early pedological innovation, but not how farmers still whisper please to termite queens before planting. Modern hybrids sprout faster, yet the sweetest teff grows where offerings of crushed barley mold beneath mounds. Ever seen a BioGrow fertilizer commercial? Their flagship products called Aksum Black, marketed as revolutionary biochar. Trademarked, patented, bottled. Same recipe ancestors etched into steely, burnt acacia wood, termite saliva, and donkey ash. Corporate reps deny the theft, claim coincidence. Old Tuadros keeps a jar of the original beside his radio, smears it on his tomatoes, while cackling through toothless gums. Soil pH testers now dangle from keychains, digital prophets, replacing finger taste rituals. You tried one last week. It beeped angrily at your plot. Excessive alkalinity. Your neighbor spat on the same dirt, pronounced it sour as unripe tamarind, then corrected it with crushed eggshells from her hens. The device concurred an hour later. Historians still argue whether the mound's collapse began with colonial plows or some silent pact between insects and elders. You found shards of pottery wedged into abandoned nests, perhaps intentional sabotage. Or gratitude, maybe both. At the community seed bank, a fresco conflates past and present. Drones hold hands with termites under a DNA helix sun. The curator swears it's art. You recognize the faces. The rice twins smirk beside nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Someone glued real millet husks to the frame, a cheeky footnote. Tonight's workshop teaches mycorstoration, using fungi to rebuild dead soil. The instructor quotes peer-reviewed studies. You shift your seat creaks like an old irrigation pulley. When discussion turns to spore inoculation, you interrupt. Why not revive the dung beetle hymns? Silence. Then, a soil microbiologist leans forward, her voice hushed. Tell me about the hymns. Climate treaties, name-check Aksumite agroecology. Now, paragraph 14 of the Paris Agreement's appendix. Diplomatic cars whisk delegates through replica farms, sterile plots, missing the real magic. No chaotic market day sycamores. No kiss-curse relationships with wasps. No moons spent apologizing to displaced ants. You kneel to replant a wind-toppled maize stalk, fingers automatically shaping a mini clay dike. Your thumb traces a spiral, an instinct older than your father's field songs. Some call it folk superstition. The NSF just funded a study on the pattern's hydrostatic benefits. Rain arrives, fat drops smacking the brittle remains of a royal mound. You press your ear to its flank. Water gurgles through hollows, the same song farmers harvested for seed calendars. Across the valley, a tractor's laser leveler whirs, aligning rows with Phoenician star charts downloaded from JSDOR. Maybe legacy lives in the contradictions. The way your smartphone tracks soil moisture, while your sandals seek the crunch of termite-churned gravel. Steam rises from rewetted earth, ancestral ghosts drinking alongside mycelium networks. You inhale petrichor and diesel the bittersweet perfume of hybrid wisdom. One last fistful of dirt crumbles in your palm, 15% silica, 3% mystery. The mounds are almost gone now, but their lessons sprout sideways through cracks in modern arrogance. Tomorrow's farmers will graft old knowledge onto new roots, and the earth, ever patient, will judge the harvest. Darkness settles. Your palms still cradle that crumbling soil. Somewhere beneath tonight's stars, termites tunnel alongside fungal threads, neither old nor new. The drone pilots packed up hours ago, their screens blind to earthworms, stitching moisture into cracked clay. You trace the spiral on your knee, a shape Nairobi labs now model for flood control. Ancestral, algorithmic, does it matter when monsoon rains now nourish both biochar and barley offerings? Cicadas hum the same pitch as power lines, a drone of continuity. That NSF grant deadline looms. Yet, you sketch irrigation channels in the notebook's margin, half equations, half prayers. Your phone lights up, a UNESCO alert about safeguarding intangible agri-heritage. You silence it, watch a moth flutter toward the single bulb at old Tuadro's hut. His tomatoes glisten, still unbeaten by the BioGrow formula. Rain returns, gentler now. It patters over the fallen maize stalk, your tiny dike already channeling droplets into thirsty roots. Somewhere, a graduate student stumbles upon grandmother's dung beetle hymns, emails her advisor in caps lock. You smile, press your forehead to damp soil. Let the sensors argue pH levels. Your tongue knows the tang of readiness. The mounds may crumble, but their breath lingers. Tomorrow's tractors, guided by starlight or GPS, will still churn soil dreaming of winged queens. HSSSSH, listen. Wind rustles through teff stalks and solar panels alike. One final exhale, your fingers release the last grains of dirt. They fall not as loss, but as seeds for quieter wisdoms. Sleep now, the earth keeps watch. Fades on faint insect clicks, merging with distant generators. A lullaby of resilience.